Spam it everywhere.
Duran's the man of the hour when it comes to channel points.
I love channel points.
Dude, it looks like really cool, and people come in and try to do commands. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't. I'll figure that out at some point.
I don't know if my mic
Everything
now
okay?
now the audio file in me is getting really upset, and I have to like because if I like get loud and laugh, it's gonna peak. Maybe if I just turn it down on my mixer. Oh, because that would lower it in Discord too.
Okay, so new computer. New
Check,
computer, it's all right.
check, 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 check. Okay, it's good enough. Fuck
Check
it.
Check,
this
check.
out.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Check, check,
I'm pretty sure mine's
Check
perfect.
baby one. The
check,
call of the rope shaker.
check. Yep. Did you take theater in high school
I did
or
take
college?
theater in high
I could
school.
tell.
Yeah.
I could tell from the way you
Wow.
move your.
That
I could tell from
hurts.
the way you move your body. No, I did too. I did too.
Immediately identified as a
Yeah, no,
theater.
I did too. You can just tell when someone has taken theater before. They're animated with the way they do things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took it
Classically
for
trained
one semester.
semester.
You know what I
This is an
did?
after school program we're talking about right now.
You know what I did in theater? I did, you know how, like, you had to do
I'm gonna fill up
monologues
my drink.
every
I'll be right
at
back.
least,
Mhm.
like, every semester? One of my monologues, I did the entire it was a duo, right? It was me and my friend, we had to do, like, a scene, and we did the entire Charlie the Unicorn YouTube episode
Oh
where it was
god.
like
That is, yeah, that's what theater was like.
Yeah, yeah, that
That's
was
awesome.
theater. It was fun. I have theories about theater people as well, but they're non-TOS, so I can't say it on Twitch.
Nice, we'll have to talk about that. I got some
Yeah, yeah.
we
I
got
think
some
I
theory.
think everyone that I've ever met that has been in or around theater kids, it says the same thing. It's like there's 2 kinds of them. There's like your ultra nerdy, and then there's just people that are down for anything, if you know what I mean.
Dude,
Yeah.
my drama department at my high school was like nationally acclaimed, like,
Really?
and yeah, and like we had this group. It was usually seniors, but sometimes a junior would make it in. But I forget what the name of it was. But they did nothing but improv, and they do it once a month, and it was like one of the biggest things at school. And I mean, it was hilarious.
Dang,
Improv
that's
is my
shocking.
favorite thing on the planet. That's probably why I like streaming so much, is like improv is
Yeah.
just so fun.
I love watching improv. I feel like I would crack under the pressure though.
Really? We could do an improv stream. That'd be fun, actually.
If Here's the thing, if you and I were just like messing around and we didn't label it,
Mhm.
I feel like I'd be fine. But as soon as we label it and it's like we're doing improv, I'd be like,
Yeah, I could definitely see that. All right.
We need a WoW community open mic.
oof. You'd get some oddballs.
I think we're ready to go.
Yeah,
I
Alright,
think.
that's the
I'm
podcast.
Yeah,
always
I'm just
ready.
tweeting it out.
All right,
Oh,
all
I'm lubed up.
We got a lot to do.
This might so we should probably forewarn you, uh, Bob and Yip. The trio me and Durana are doing is called the threesome, and we've just been in this like very sexual innuendo mindset recently. So if it
Yes,
comes out,
So
tell
if
us
it
to
starts
tone it back.
slipping,
Yeah.
we're doing a hardcore threesome.
I
It's
don't mind
regular,
Yeah.
at all.
scheduled.
Keep them coming.
I
Oh
see
yeah.
how that can be a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
All right, all right.
Interesting.
All right, ready? This
Oh
one's
boy.
just for me. Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazin' Bob, and today we are joined by Ryan, aka The Yip Show. How you doing?
Doing great, Bob. Thank you. Doing fantastic. New content out.
I know it's gonna be a wild episode, but
We've got a month till I'm bored out of my mind again. So let's enjoy it while I
definitely. Then unfortunately, no Mel this week. Her mom's in the hospital, so put your thoughts and prayers, whatever you do, send it towards her way, and she should be back next week. But in her stead, special guests. two of them this week. We have Duranasaur. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing wonderful. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. We're doing great. And his partner in crime, his brother from another mother, Winky, also known as Winkypotamus. How you doing?
I thought you were gonna say his like life partner, which it kind of
And his
feels
I would have
partner.
that
taken
way.
it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that recently, but we're good. We're great. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I can't speak for Duranosaur,
Yeah.
but I'm getting over an illness, so forgive me, but I think I'm pretty good.
All right, well, as long as you're okay, yeah. I don't know if it
Yeah.
was COVID, but I think
No,
everyone
it
got
wasn't.
hit.
It wasn't like cough sick. I have like this autoimmune problem, and it like messes with my whole body. So
Oh, I know, but yeah.
it comes and goes, right? Some days are good, some days are bad.
Well, I
But
hope
even the bad
it's
days are pretty
better.
good when you're playing classic World of Warcraft and Black Temple and Hyjal are out.
This is true. There's so many streamers. I think Crix was sick the other day, and he's like sick, but this is what I'd be doing anyway. Like I
Yeah,
totally
right.
streamed when I was sick, and saw
That's kind of the funny.
Salve
That's,
Dally was sick
Oh
too.
man, Dolly was he was in a bad spot.
I
Oh
didn't
man.
watch it. I didn't watch. I don't know if we're covering like the race to world first for any of that stuff, but I actually did not watch any of the big guilds.
I
Do
watched some.
their
We're gonna
runs.
cover, yeah, we're gonna cover some of that in the
Okay.
news.
Oh yeah.
Because I have an
Oh, I'll
alternative that I would encourage you guys to follow suit with, and I'll go over it when we get to that point. But it's 10
Awesome,
times better in my opinion than watching the best guilds in the world.
awesome. Well, I mean, lots of people love our recaps, and they are not even close to the best in the world. So,
Yeah, right.
all right. So, this week's episode, we're going to go over just like normal reviews. Then, we didn't have it, we have an email, but I think the show's going to be too packed today to do it. So, we'll probably save that for next week. Then, we're going to go over what we've been doing lately. Then we're gonna go over our Vargflocken raid progress. Then on to the news, and then at the end we're gonna have a nice discussion about the journey that was the road to Ragnaros and thoughts and plans for the future of Hardcore Elite. So everybody strap in and let's go. Yep, we had some reviews.
Yes, we did. So the first one is on Apple Podcasts. Love the show. I love listening to the show and anxiously look forward to each new episode. I listen at work, and it always makes the day go by a little faster. I really enjoy hearing your thoughts and opinions on the latest TBC topics, and the weekly guests always bring a fresh perspective. I do have one tiny request that I don't think is asking too much. If you could simply make a new episode each day, that would make my work week go by so much quicker. Just kidding, of course. Keep doing what you're doing. Looking forward to more episodes. Am I crazy? Did I read this last week?
I
Am I
feel
am I
like
going crazy right now?
I
I
feel
can never
like
tell
you
because
did.
we post them in Discord ahead of time.
Oh, hold on. I think
there's probably just a lot of good vibes coming your way.
Oh, I put
Yeah.
the wrong one in there.
Yeah, well, Bob just wanted to make fun of me
Yeah.
for dying as a cat
Oh my
again.
gosh.
Props to Yip though for
Thrown in here.
There we
remembering
go, Yip.
what you did last week.
There you
Of
go,
course
Yip.
I did.
Sorry about that. This
There we
is
go.
I believe this is John who always comments on our YouTube videos. He
Oh, yeah, about how wrong we are.
never misses one. Oh, he gets us all.
Good.
Try it out. This show is great. You know what I'm saying? I started listening to it after browsing podcasts as I had a bad tooth and was looking for something to listen to while removing it. I immediately fell in love as I turned into a telescope while I listened to this wonderful show. Great for when you gotta take your Ubers.
I think it
Gonna
means
recommend it.
Ubers, maybe.
Gonna recommend it. Yeah, could be Ubers. Gonna recommend it to all my coworkers at Falcon Car Wash. I don't think that this is the guy that posts
I
comments in our
Well,
YouTube.
he's
But
got like the same name or close to the same name that he does on YouTube, but
yeah, it's John.
I don't get.
Thank you,
I feel
John.
like we're supposed to get some sort of reference here with the Falcon Car Wash. Does anybody get this? Because I don't get it.
Well,
Maybe he just actually works. I mean, that's awesome if he recommends
Just
us.
sharing. He's just
It just
sharing.
goes to show you.
It could be like one of those people. Have you seen the comments that are like I always comment on YouTube videos with like, "Oh, great video. I stopped watering my goldfish to watch this," or like something, like I don't know. It's just one of those things. Could be an
Trying to be
interesting
quirky.
commenter. Yeah.
Either way, thank you.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that you can write anything you want as long as it's 5 stars, and I'll read it out loud. So take that, take that however you like.
This is good to know.
And then we have another one on Warcraft Radio. Spotify's year in review says I listened to 11.5 thousand minutes of Warcraft Reloaded in 2021. It's a pretty good from Bumbleduck, formerly of Crom Crush. And his name on Warcraft Radio is Illegal Taco, which I also enjoy. So
Yeah, and
thank you very much for that.
did you know that that's like the way to leave a review there? You log in with your BNet account. So
Oh, so I
that's
DOSed
his
him.
BNet.
Oh,
Nice,
really?
Yep.
Ooh.
Wow, I didn't know you could even do that.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's
In
just
Doctor's
like
Fault.
logging in with Google type of deal.
God,
Huh.
I have a story about that. I don't know if it's appropriate for a podcast setting, but man, my Google accounts they're royally screwed, you guys.
Okay.
Somehow I set my default. So I have this like Smurf email address that I made for Rocket League accounts because I wanted to like play at a lower rank. And it's called x not a smurf 69x at gmail.com. And somehow all of my Google like logins are tied to that one
Oh, it
specific
became
email
the
now.
master
like-
account.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
master
So
account.
now like it's the master, like all of the payouts from like YouTube and stuff come from
Oh
hey X not a
no.
smurf 69x. I'm like,
That's
Jesus
incredible.
Christ, you guys.
Oh well, to
The
follow.
IRS comes looking for you. Excuse
Yeah.
me.
Oh
Oh
man. Well,
no.
to comment on this, this is a nice short and sweet review, but I think it like really shows how much they like the podcast with 11,500 minutes. Like that is it's
Yeah,
nuts.
hate the podcast.
Huh?
Or hate the podcast. You can't put it past anybody.
True,
They can-
true. We probably do have hate listeners that are like, I hate these guys. Which is
Ever since
fine.
that WoW token fiasco, we've got a couple of hate listeners just waiting for us to talk about retail again.
Oh.
I need to go back and listen into the after edited version of the last show that we did live that I was on.
I think we just cut you out entirely. I'm not sure.
Probably, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah. Yeah, you would have probably done yourself a favor if you cut me out.
Oh
Like,
no,
we
that
don't-
was great. That was great.
We had
No.
we had like a heated discussion about I can't remember what it was. I'm not gonna bring it up again. But
Oh,
We did.
We
We
did.
did, yeah,
We
yeah,
did
we
cut
did. I
that
think-
piece.
I think
we
Bob was
discussed
like
that.
actually like I'm actually gonna post all of this. Like this is all getting
No,
cut.
yeah.
like, the
So
whole
we cut
show.
that piece, and then a week ago, Bob, or like 2 weeks ago, Bob brings it up again to try to like get me into that talking point again. It's like,
I didn't
no,
know. I just said it like, a cheeky like little jab at it. I didn't try to like actually bring it up.
you brought it up.
Oh, yep.
Jeez.
Yep.
Oh,
What
well,
have you
Black
been
Temple's
doing
out.
lately in WoW? Yep.
Preparing for raid, presumably. I needed fire as gear, which, as far as the other officers in our guild leader knows, I finished. I haven't said otherwise to anybody, so that's pretty much it. I mean, PvPing, and they made a lot of PvP changes, which we can wait to talk about. But
Yeah, it's gonna be a juicy one.
that's been pretty incredible. Big fan of the PvP changes that came in, so I've been doing that every day. They made world PvP worthwhile suddenly, which was shocking and unnecessary. Well, not I don't want to say unnecessary. I'm a big fan of it, but it did come out of nowhere. I don't know what it's like on other servers, but even on our horribly unbalanced server, I like doing like Hellfire fortifications and like the Terracar forest, like spirit towers and stuff like that is pretty easy. So we've been out doing that every day.
Oh, cool. All right. What about Winky, Duranasaur? Who wants to go first about what you guys have been doing in whichever game?
I think Duranasaur should go first.
Okay. I have been exclusively doing hardcore in Season of Mastery. I've been working on some like max level stuff with Hardcore Elite, just trying to, be on and available as we try to, continue pushing forward with that stuff. But then I started a horde hardcore character. There's rumblings of, hey, if you can do it on Alliance, can you also do it on Horde? Um, it's not anything official yet, but I did miss playing on Horde and leveling on Horde, so I started a solo character. And then before I tossed it over to Winky, he and I and one of our other friends, Only Black Smoke, started a trio, or as we've been calling it, the threesome. And it's a hardcore threesome, which isn't what it sounds like. We're playing classic hardcore as a group of three, and it's actually like some of the most fun that I've had in WoW in a long time, because we are spending probably more time like coming up with ways to annoy one another than to actually like play the game. So it's
Oh,
been an absolute blast.
I bet like you're just like, okay, well, why are you over there? Like, we need to do this over here.
Mm-hmm.
Are you close enough for you to get the kill here? Okay, well, get close enough. That type of deal.
Yeah. It's
It's like,
take
dude, I
everything
went
you
to
know
go learn
about.
something over here.
Oh
It's
yeah.
horrible. It's been the worst. It's fun, but it's horrible at the same
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
But
Well,
I've been playing some WoW.
hold
Some
on.
douche.
I wanted to
Okay.
follow up one more thing on that. You guys plan to
Oh.
do all of the 5-man dungeons 3-man, right? That's part of your challenge you're doing?
Yeah, that's like I would say the main like goal of this trio, of this threesome that we're doing, is to try to clear every dungeon as this 3-man squad that we created.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's what I kind of, I just wanted to gloss over on that before, because that's going to be neat. I think, are you going to try to wait till you're pretty much level cap for the dungeon before you go in there? Are you going to try to really, because I've seen some other challenges where people are going in and 10 manning all of the 5-man
Yeah.
dungeons on like really low level characters. Like, so there's different
Oh
challenges
yeah.
going around.
Yeah. So what you're talking about, that's called Noobcore. That's head up by Jamin. He streams on Twitch. He's a phenomenal member of the hardcore community, and they do 10-man raids at the minimum level of every dungeon that they can, which it's a super interesting challenge. I like, big shout out to them.
Yeah,
But
big
for
ass in
our
chat
group,
for
I
John last
I
night, by the way.
oh yeah.
He
I
died at level 11 in the Dead Mines.
Oh no. I watched some of that because I raided Only Black Smoke later on the night yesterday after you raided me, Duranasaur, and they were doing that. And I was blown away because I didn't think you could do that anymore. I thought they like changed it, but I guess they just changed it to give the proper EXP, because it was giving full EXP back when it first, like, Classic first launched, but I didn't even realize you could still go in 10 people into Dead Bodies.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
I
do it
think
for
it's
every dungeon other than this level 60 stuff, right? Like Skolo Strat, you cannot 10-man.
yeah.
BRD, you can't
I think
10-man. But
it's
you can do it all
it,
the way up to Maradon, I think.
I didn't even know
yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's crazy,
So
but sorry.
it's a super cool thing that they're doing. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
We
it was
are
exciting to watch.
I think our goal is to do it like either at equal level with the final boss, or maybe like one level above. So we're trying not to do that thing where you go in like at the highest possible level and you're like 4 levels above the final boss, and
Like what I've
it's
been
kind of
doing on my rogue on all the dungeons.
well, I guess so.
I could basically, so far all the dungeons I've done, I could have basically tanked. Like, maybe not the last boss, but I mean, I'm off taking everything. It's just like,
Yeah.
eh.
But
But
that's sort of like, yeah, I think that's a good thing if you're like newer to hardcore or you're worried about dungeons in hardcore. Like, there's no reason to not do that and give yourself that extra safety, both like mentally, like, oh, I feel a lot better because I'm out leveling this stuff, but also your character's more powerful. You're you're still doing hardcore. You're following all the rules. But there's no reason to take like a ton of risks with dungeons if you're not like already comfortable with them.
well, where I'm at is I just want to complete this challenge once, and then I can start effing
Yeah.
around, right? Like, so yeah. But Winky, you were saying you've been playing more.
Yeah, just playing well. Hardcore Road to Ragnaros as an event has come to a close for at least the first clear. But that doesn't mean it's ending. We're all gonna keep going. I'm looking forward to my character getting into the raid for a rag kill. Because I was on the desk, I voluntarily sat out, and I feel just as accomplished as the rest of the guild does. Because this was by no means just 40 people doing it alone, right? There
Oh
was a
god, yeah.
lot, it's like thousands of hours of work that went into that Ragnaros kill.
Yeah.
And I think we can replicate it with less work. So that's kind of like my goal is to just come in and press the Shadow Bolt button and kill Rag. But other than that, I've been doing our hot and sweaty hardcore threesome with Duran, which has been really fun. And I'm also leveling a troll shaman on Obsidian Edge hardcore. And as an alliance main, I can also say that I've missed the horde. My very first hardcore character that I got 1 to 60 was a horde character, and I'm
Dude,
very excited to be back in the Barrens and run around
after
on a shaman.
hearing all your guys' stuff about all the buffs you get in the Barrens, and then looking at all the gear that drops from these rares that are all over the Barrens, I'm like,
Horde is
what the
easier,
hell, dude?
and that's just a fact. It's actually a fact. The weapon progression on horde is way better for any melee class. The level 30 to 60 is just a smooth transition on horde. There's no stop in this Naga cave and Feather Moon and grind for 2 levels, you know? That doesn't exist. In my opinion, the horde's literally the pinnacle of like a cozy leveling experience. 1 to 60, you get consistent upgrades and you just have a good time and it's just fun. Plus there's a lot of flavor quests like jump off this giant mountain and stone towel or in Thousand Needles and test your faith, right? Like so it's really RP. The horde's really cool.
I'm a huge
Um,
fan of the framing that Horde is just a cozy, relax for babies experience. I'm
yeah,
glad that
yeah,
we
it
can
is. Yeah,
now be
it's
official on the podcast.
yeah. I
Well,
mean, well,
For
they can't
everything
expect
except
you.
rating, right?
Yeah.
That's yeah.
I mean, it depends on which raid. Like if you look at AQ40, right? Like the Lions had a way harder time
Mm.
on Hydros,
Viscidus.
right? Or
Yeah.
Viscidus. I'm sorry, I said Hydros. TBC on the
Yeah.
brain. But yeah, I mean, it depends on the raid. I think, and also the Horde have a way easier time distributing weapons to melee
Yeah.
classes.
True.
Alliance is god awful. If you're hoping to be a sword rogue, good
Yeah.
luck.
yeah,
On Alliance.
yeah.
So it's just
Well,
one of those things.
the one thing Alliance, like, leveled in Classic, but the hardcore experience has been neat for me because I'm doing all these crazy long quest chains that I never did because of the rested XP thing. If it told me to go way over here, I'd be like, mm-mm. Just do all the quests in
Mhm.
this area, then move to the next one, do all the quests in this area. But like this thing's had like it knows you're gonna be going over here, and it's like, okay, grab this quest, and then eventually you're doing this quest, and you're like, damn, this quest has been in 7 different zones, and I haven't really even noticed that I'm keeping doing it.
Yeah.
And
There's a
it's
lot of
a ton of
secret
quests I
quests.
never did.
Yeah, it's a lot of secret, like, hidden quests in Classic that are in the mid-40s range that you only get if you do, like, the breadcrumb quests from, like, 6 levels ago in the
Mm-hmm.
wetlands, right? And then it travels you across, like, "Oh, gotta go to Darnassus and talk to this one guy about dirt, then go to Ungoro," and, like, it's just all this crazy,
Yeah, I got a
little thing.
14 slot bag from one of them that was just like,
What?
oh, cool. Yeah, Cortello's riddle.
Cortello's riddle. Yeah.
Yeah.
The riddle. I never do that one. But then
Yep.
again, I also don't follow the rest of XP Guide.
It
I
was
should.
dangerous AF, man, because you had to go into the 3 boats uh in South Shore, a little under level.
That's probably why
And
I don't do it.
yeah, it was and it's randomly on one of the 3 boats at any given time, and so it's kind of a pain in the butt, but I was like, I'm gonna do this.
Well, your boat death counts only at 1, right, Bob? Like, I mean,
It
you've
was
only ever
actually
died.
under the boat
Hey, it's
I
boat
guess
boat
it was
proximity.
water. Yeah.
Yeah, the boat kills people, man. Any boat in that game. It's a horrible place.
Oh, yeah, I was doing the quest where you kill the three captains yesterday when Duranasaur raided me, and I was like, Winky always says don't do boats, but fuck it, I'm doing it.
You gotta do it for the viewers.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
dude.
Do it for the thick content kills people more than
Oh, I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah.
anything else, man.
Yeah, I was like just chilling, eating, and then all of a sudden, raid of whatever it was, and I was like, hey, okay, we're gonna go do something cool, I promise. But yeah, for me, it's nothing. It's just been, I'm just a hair from level 50. Been going pretty strong in the hardcore. Haven't died, so I've been doing that. Mel and I are up to back up to level 37 on our druid priest duo, so we've passed our level 35 death, and I've just been doing that and then doing the new raids and switched to Affliction Warlock, which it's been one of
Attaboy.
the interesting things. Like, I don't know if my mind will change later, but I've always played the most selfish spec and the most selfish class anytime I've ever played World of Warcraft. Like the one that's going to be on the top of the meter in your actual guild run. And this was oddly satisfying. Like it was like I was like, I'm building other people up. Like and it felt good. And I was like, why didn't I ever try this before? But it's
Any
been an
warlock
interesting
spec is
thing.
fun in my opinion. You just
Yeah,
play
it's
warlock
been
and enjoy
actually
it.
definitely more fun. I've got to redo my buttons are horrible, so I got to like redo for Affy, but it's been neat. But that's about it for me and what I've been doing. Um Anybody else got anything else before we move into
Have you been playing
Vargflocken?
TBC, Winky?
I have, yeah. I've just basically been raid logging.
Yeah.
Um, if I'm being completely honest, I'm kind of in a negative Nancy mode with TBC. I'm not very excited about Black Temple and Hyjal. I don't know if it's because I've been in like going through the motions long enough in classic iterations of World of Warcraft, whether it be classic WoW or private servers or anything like that, where it's just like, yeah, this will be cool for 3 weeks while it's on progression, and then after that, I'm gonna hate it, and I'm gonna have to raid log and get on every other night, and you know, grind for some gold or do whatever. And it's just, I don't know. Um, it could just be that I'm falling out of the raiding environment now that there's finally a solid community. I think, I don't know. It's probably a mixture of things. It's either that I'm just getting tired of raiding, or my true passion lies in the world of Azeroth, which is better explored in hardcore, in my opinion. So I don't know.
Makes
I don't know.
sense.
We'll see. But
Well,
I'm planning on enjoying Black Temple and Hyjal during progression, and then seeing where it takes me. I really want to get into Sunwell, and see that content.
and I still don't think there's anything wrong with raid logging in TBC. I mean, the game's built a lot for that, it's very front loaded, and Wrath
Hmm.
will probably be the same. If you don't PvP and stuff or work on alts, like there's really not a whole ton to do day to day in TBC. There'll be more in Wrath though, I think, like with the more dailies. Also in TBC when the
Maybe.
Isle comes, like there'll be a lot more fun to be had. But I'm sure
I want to look forward to Wrath. I loved Wrath as an expansion, but the first phase of Wrath, I mean, Nax Ramus again, it might just kill the game, in my opinion. Like literally, it might kill the game. People might start playing Wrath in phase two.
let's just hope they like understand and make if they want to do the phases. I mean, we're probably going to be talking about this in length, in the next coming months at some point. But hopefully, phase one is a lot shorter, and they just extend phase two because Ulduar can be pretty cool. So
Oh, Old War was amazing.
yeah, so hopefully, they don't have too long. But it's everything's always hard with arena seasons, and that's where everything kind of runs into problems. So I don't know how that'll go.
That is one thing I want to get into in TBC is I want to learn arenas. It's a thing that I back in the day it was really fun to get into arenas and goof around because there was no real meta figured out. I'm talking like original TBC, right? That was really fun. You just get on and goof around with your friends and like learn things. But now that the meta is so strong and you can go on Twitch and watch, Josito and Bobka and like all these really good arena players, like uh the barrier to entry is pretty high in my opinion. So
It
I want to learn
is.
to get into it, but I also just don't know if I want to dedicate 80 hours a week to getting good at it
I mean,
before.
it literally
People are
is
good.
that. It's just a lot of time and a lot of studying. But I mean, our guild leader has managed to get into the 2Ks, studying and
Mhm.
everything. But he is playing quite a bit. I don't know exactly how much, but I know it's a good amount.
I think I don't know. It's weird too. I don't know. It's one of those things where like if you stream on Twitch or YouTube, and Duranasaur might comment on this too. It's kind of like you have more pressure on you to perform and to like prove how good you are, quote unquote, at a game, even though the vast majority of people that watch you probably don't care if you're good or bad at it.
Honestly, you
Um,
could probably make a pretty good following out of just being real bad.
yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, you could
If
be
you
like that
have like a
zero to
good
hero saga
outlook,
and all that.
yeah, I think that with arenas, especially if you're having a good time, even if you're losing, I feel like your view, like people would still enjoy watching it.
Yeah, but I mean, I look at people like Cargos, and he didn't stream arenas until
Oh,
he
he
was
because he didn't like
2K.
it.
Well, he
He loved it
didn't
in the
want to
beginning,
lose in
though.
front of people.
Well, that's exactly what I mean. Like
Yeah.
he didn't like streaming it because he didn't like that, there was like this backseat gaming and like
Uh-huh.
I think that oftentimes people like him, like high end arena players, they know when they make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
You know if a mistake that you made is what costed the match, and having like a chat full of people like just like highlight that to you, even though you're already aware of it and you're already gonna like try to improve upon it, like that can be exhausting. I'm sure.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're just like me and you're like, well, I'm gonna just learn more from chat today than they're gonna learn from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Chat is a huge resource. Duranosaur type, we were talking about that the other day. Chat is a massive resource. I think
Dude, it's nuts.
it's
Like I've got an itty bitty chat, and they teach me so much stuff, and they're
yeah,
like, well, you could do this over here, and I'm like, what?
yeah. You could
Are you
there's
guys
there's
messing with
certain
me?
days there's certain days where you'll go live and you'll just be talking and like you'll be like, yeah, well, I need to go talk to like a marine biologist about this animal, and like someone in chat, I'm a marine biologist. What's your problem? And it's just it never ends. It's nonstop. It's just there's always
It's
somebody that knows
cool.
everything.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Yeah.
manatee in my backyard's sick. I need to talk to your marine
Yeah, my
biologist.
dog was sick, and my chat was like, "Oh, 3 of us are registered vets." I'm like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah, well,
Like, what?
yeah, I like had like my dog needed like little, boots for the snow, and one of the people in chat, Zim, worked for a company that makes like oversized boots for dogs. I mean, they make a lot of stuff, but she's like sent me the link. I ordered them and everything. Like, I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, I have chat recommendations when I got my puppy. I told the chat, if anyone owns German Shepherds, give me a link to like your dog's favorite toys. And I bought all of the ones that the chat linked in the channel. Like their German Shepherds love it because my dog kept ripping up every toy we bought her. And they're all still alive. The toys are still okay, and they're all her favorite toys. Literally,
That's
like,
awesome.
yeah, it's crazy how it works. Like their resources, you can't sleep on chat. Like
Yeah, it's cool.
for as much backseat gaming there is, there's equal amounts, if not more, positivity and resources that people are willing to offer, and just it's cool.
Yeah, it is cool. I mean, you do have the trolls that come in, but you know what? Like, they make it real easy to just slash ban, you know? So,
Yeah. Sometimes if you out troll a troll though, you can actually become friends with them.
maybe,
Yeah,
maybe.
I've had people that showed up in my channel to troll me before, and then now they're just like my longest subscribers.
I've got this one person who keeps making new accounts, and he doesn't change it up enough. Like, he comes in, he's always super nice at the start, and then he starts like throwing in the stuff, and it's obvious troll statements, and I'm like, I spot you, and I'm like, banned. And then he makes another one, and like they're all created like just a couple days before each one, and I'm like, it's kind of a compliment because this guy is so tenacious and wants to bug me so
Yeah,
bad, he just keeps coming back.
yeah, it's like Apache D and Lore SWAT.
Oh
Hmm.
man.
Just two well-known trolls of the hardcore community.
Yeah. And if you just roll with them and just like dish it
Hmm.
back at them, they hang out, and
Yeah.
then they're like nice to the other chatters for the most part. Like
Hmm.
they're just there
True,
to
true.
to just like give the streamer a bit of a hard time. You just gotta
Maybe I just
that
have to
I
I have to level up my trolling skills.
Yeah.
yeah
I think if I didn't stream, I would be one of those trolls in chat. I would probably be akin to that.
yeah.
Oh. All right,
It's
well,
easy to just evolve into that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like my personality of just be a sarcastic asshole all the time. That's why
all
Yip
right,
egos me on Halo now.
guys, can we get a drum roll?
Are you Onyx rank yet?
Yeah.
Get a drum roll going for. And now it's time for Vargflocken raid progress.
Bob's not gonna like my characterization of what we're gonna be talking about, but well, we show up to raid. All raiders ready to go. All focused on classic the Burning Crusade. As of course our main priorities in life are. And we get in there, and Mel is not attuned to Mount Hyjal. The the quest that we have all completed as of 10 weeks ago when we first cleared the end bosses.
To clarify, she was at the part to where she just had to turn it in to the girl outside, but like we had summoned up top, like, and we're all ready to run in, and then Mel's like, I can't get in.
Oh my gosh.
Bob's not gonna like me blaming Bob just as much as Mel during this, but I do blame Bob just as much as Mel for this. They have been playing endless season of mastery, but couldn't be bothered to come make sure that they were TBC ready. So luckily
In all
the hordes were
fairness,
actually very
I
nice.
did.
I don't. Well, Bob.
If
Well,
you actually,
it's
if you actually want to know what happened, I always, so I won't forget like these types of deals, I always go immediately right after raid. And I had to think back, and it was like one night where Mel was like, I'll just do it tomorrow. And I was like, all right, well, don't forget to do it tomorrow. And it just never happened. And I think I asked her one time later, hey, did you do that? And she was like, no. And I was like, all right, well, make sure to do that after we log tonight. But then I just forgot.
Mel's not here to defend herself, but Mel's side of the story is that she asked you multiple times if she was ready to go into raid, and your answer was yes.
Well, I
So
mean,
I'm
I just
blaming
assumed that she
all I'm
had
saying is I'm
went with
blaming
me.
you both equally. All I'm saying is I'm blaming you both equally for why
I
we
don't
didn't
think it's
pull
that big of a
at
deal.
6:50. Well, we didn't pull at 6:50. We pulled like 15 minutes later than we wanted to. So it is, it is a thing. You guys are very concerned with classic. That's fine. So we wait for Mel.
Someone's not salty at all, huh?
Well, I mean, it is the bare minimum requirement, Bob. And you guys have been playing a lot of classic Season of Mastery. We have been done this for a while.
Yeah,
I did it on my
hardcore's just been better.
So we that's fine.
Shots fired.
Nice.
So we go in there, we pull. Hyjal, I was not super worried about. The only thing I was really worried about was Archimond going in there, and that is pretty much the case. We did basically as good as Salad Bakers did, so we're
Oh
we're
man.
on,
Well,
we're on
that's a
top of
low
the
blow.
world. We pulled about the same time that they did, and we wiped out the
Wait, did
second boss
Duranasaur
also.
did Duranasaur just say that that's a low bar?
Low
The
blow.
blow.
Oh, I thought you were like, "Whoa, that's a low
Well,
bar."
that's a low bar. Like,
I
dang,
mean,
dog piling onto
Yeah.
Salad Bakers had
Salad.
a rough day.
They had a rough
True.
day, which was like, in a way, good for me to watch because it wasn't just like, you watch some of those like compilation streams where someone might be going through some of the world first or switching back and forth. You can't really get a good idea of what's going on. But watching Sarth, I was able to clearly see what was going on as everybody yelled at each other. That worked out well. But Rage Winter Chill. I mean, these first four bosses, and maybe Bob will have a different experience. They're basically tank and spanks though, with like one mechanic that you need to pay attention to.
Yeah, it was the one boss kept silencing us. I don't know if we'll be able to fix that last week. The big old sword, the wings, like
Yeah, I think that just
like I don't know if it was positioning and we were like too close, or maybe it was because we were in front of the boss behind you or something. Like I don't
that's
know.
just how the fight works.
Yeah, I think
You
that's
just
just
get
the
silenced.
mechanic. Yeah.
Yeah. So for Rage Winter Chill, something that can help. Did we have problems on Rage Winter Chill? I don't really think so. You can wear your PvP trinket. He puts basically a stun on you that gives you a big debuff. We did not. We opted not to put on PvP trinkets, and we didn't need them. Um, so I mean it wasn't that crazy. There are death and decays that come out. You just move out of it. But overall, it's like a tank and spank. It really isn't that crazy. The waves are also not that crazy in the first part. In the Alliance side, because they're all basically melee waves. So you just pull how all the videos tell you to pull, and then you AoE it down. There wasn't too complicated. The off tanks were just like pulling the abominations off the paladin, and pretty simple. The second boss was a little bit more troublesome because we didn't have like we basically marked all the healers and told them to spread out, but they spread out in like a semicircle. He does a cone that's like 30-degree cone that makes it so you can only heal like 75% of your normal healing. So I think we just had too many healers get hit by that, and then our paladin died who was tanking the infernals. But that's a simple one too. You just have an off tank, grab the infernals that get summoned. I don't even think you need to kill them. We weren't killing them, but it might be easier if you do. But yeah, I mean, pretty simple. People get slept. I know some people are using like some BRD nonsense, some alcoholic beverage that damages you, and if you pre-pop it, you'll get out of the sleep. Um, but you can just eat the sleep. It's really not that big of a deal to eat the sleep. It's the Sulfuron Slammer, I think, is what people use. But
On the
also,
trash, like, it was pretty like, we didn't really have to deal with a lot of the shadow bolts, right? Because you guys crafted all the arcade bombs, which I assume helped a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, we made arcane bombs. They are pretty useful. They have a 5-second silence and they interrupt. So um as necromancers and banshees come in, like anything that casts, you can just throw them on them and it'll help group them up. I don't think they're required because the mages and the warlocks do so much damage on the AoE packs. If you just send your melee over to interrupt the casters, even if they like have aggro on a necromancer, they're not going to die. The melees are like relatively weak, so like it just works out better to send your suicide melee squad and they can start hitting that stuff if you're not using arcane bombs. But arcane bombs are not too bad to get. Um, if you're a Thunder Fury loser like I am, and by loser I mean I don't have one. I did have 100 arcanite bars in my bank, so
I did
pretty
think,
easy to
Oh,
turn
there you
those
go.
into.
Yeah.
I can't
um,
believe you're still not going to go try and get one.
Yeah.
well,
What are you
I mean,
doing?
Why not?
It's sad, I want at some point it just becomes like
I tried to
a
talk
sad
him into
experience.
it.
Are
Like,
you
I tried
still
to
doing
talk him
gruel
into
for
GAR
DST?
runs every week, but he
We
wouldn't do it.
do,
Do you do
but my
gruel runs
we do
for the
grower
guild?
runs.
Then you need to take all those people and tell them we're gonna go do molten core until I get bindings.
I don't
People
Right
have
think he
after
would
offered.
gruel.
have to do anything. I think people would come
People would
just if
go.
he
People would
asked.
go. But
Dang, Yip is that
that's pretty
iconic. I would
sad.
never do that for someone in my guild.
Well, Yip's
Well,
special to our guild, though.
Yeah, I could
yeah,
tell.
I'm a vital role. Well, I'm a druid now, so I don't care about loot. I'm a big bear, and I put on agility.
Would you like to join our
Yeah.
threesome?
Yes.
we we might have an opening for a bear pretty soon.
Wow. I'm the bear.
If Duran dies.
Yeah, I'll slot right in. It should be easy. But that's a
We'll tag team
Natheron.
it. Yeah.
Ooh, there you go.
But that's a Natheron. You just spread like once we wiped there, we just split up our healers. We're just like, okay, stand here. And then that made life a lot easier. Once they were in like an actual circle around him, it wasn't too big of a deal. After that, you go to the horde camp, which is way more annoying. Obviously, it was our first time in there, so our mob management will be better in the future, I'm sure. But we were just like running all over the place. There's gargoyles everywhere. People are pulling them in different directions, and it was a little bit chaotic.
I remember,
But
so when the big frost dragons come, I'm standing there and I'm looking around. I'm like, what is hitting everybody? I see the stuff coming down. I'm like, what is hitting everybody? And then finally, I see like some shadow bolts going up, and I'm like, oh, it's like, and it's so when you have your camera like way far back, and then you try to look up, it's the most uncomfortable like thing ever. Like your camera goes crazy, and you're like trying to like target up top. Like, is there an easy way to do that, or is
It's
there?
already macro, right?
I would have make sure you're fully zoomed too. Like you have to put in a special little
Oh, if I did
like
put in the
setting.
full zoom, I wonder if I could see him just above without actually
I could
looking
I could see
up.
him above. I could see
Oh,
him
okay,
above
then I
without
need to
looking up.
use then I need to use the zoom macro then. Okay, cool.
But yeah, I mean the problem is that other than the melee mobs, the aggro doesn't matter at all. It didn't matter that gargoyles were flying all over the place. They do like 700 a hit on cloth. It was like, okay, well, this isn't a big deal that these are flying all over the place. Like maybe our kill times could have gone up faster if we grouped them better. But the fact that like everything was like chaotic, it didn't really matter as far as like deaths at all. Maybe like one person died on on trash at any time, and we even had a situation where our prop paladin died at one point just because people I think weren't ready for him to run up and take stuff, and we still like handled the wave fine. The trash waves. I mean, I don't want to say they could be harder because dying on them is such a waste of time that I don't know if I want like a majority of guilds struggling in Mount Hyjal. I don't know if that's healthy for the game if everyone's just stuck in there forever. But our guild found it like I would say pretty easy. Um, the next boss is Kaz Rogal. He is the mana burner, and if your mana hits 0 or low, you start blowing up and killing people. We had a Ret Paladin do that, of course, because he hates potted instead of mana potted, but that's okay.
That was
So,
hilarious, though.
some, sometimes you gotta. It just it once the boss is dead, it's hilarious. It's scary during the boss because you have to do all of the trash again.
And
It-
didn't he blow up all the melee?
Yeah, but I don't think everyone died. I
All right.
think that it
But
was
we're
just
like pretty heavy. We're like a pretty heavy melee guild. We've only
we're a
got
normal guild.
I mean, from what most people say, like we're pretty heavy. Like we only
How
have
many melee
one
do you
caster group and then one half caster group, basically.
We have 2 caster groups and 2 physical
Do
groups.
you have like a
Mhm.
4 warlock Ellie shaman group and then like a 3
Yep.
mage shadow
We have a
priest
2
Ellie
mage
Two
shaman?
shadow
two
priest,
mage, one shadow priest, Ellie shaman. So
and then we put we usually put a holy paladin in there to
Okay.
holy light a lot. So we're
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty normal.
relatively standard.
How many
I feel like my
hunters?
guild's pretty normal.
Just 2
We're actually
hunters.
sitting our rogue for
Oh.
progression because we don't want any melee.
Yeah, our GM hunter switched to a warrior out of desire for glaives,
No way.
presumably. No, I'm joking.
I was gonna say
um,
that's a
but
downgrade.
Casimo's in the chat. He's just trying to make him nervous.
the swap did happen though, which is fine. We needed warriors, and
Uh,
it made the switch off my warrior easier.
Have you decided who's getting Priod Glaives, or is it just gonna be a roll? How you handling it?
DKP probably. We're probably putting it to DKP. I think so. Obviously, like the rogues are the only real people in contention. We have 2 rogues.
Mhm,
Um, I think that our GM who switched to Fury Warrior is going to probably bid them up to some amount of DKP and be like, "I'm bidding this," and then it's up to you. Like, I'm not going to bid higher than that, so you guys can take it if you want. But I think he's going to
mhm.
force them to spend some amount
Been
of
something,
DKP.
yeah.
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 Um,
DKP is such an interesting. I don't know the last time I used like a DKP system and
Same.
DKP is
how.
so good. It's
Really? You like it?
there's
It
no
makes it a
other
lot
way.
easier for guild leadership, though.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the thing is the way so it there are many DKP systems that do not work. Our DKP system that we have like eventually settled on, I find causes the least loot problems that exist. Like there are just basically almost no loot problems whatsoever. You have full agency on your own. Like if you lose an item, it's only because of you. You can't be like, "Oh, why did he not get proud to me?" Like blah blah blah. Like we have a blind bid system, so like you just type in how much DKP you want to spend for an item, and if someone else
Mhm,
wins it, because you didn't type in enough. Like that's all it comes down to.
Mm.
So we have like no issues there, but yeah, I mean there's always like a scary idea of like a huge item dropping and it goes to someone who leaves the guild. Like we've had issues like that before, but
DKP. It's
even in that
dynamite.
scenario, even in that scenario, those people earn the DKP, right? Like they earn that DKP by showing
yeah,
up, they earn that item, and
yeah,
it basically gets the least amount of problems for officers. So warglaives are not like any kind of special item. They don't require you to show up to raid every week and collect shards and splinters to put it together.
mhm.
They're just weapons that drop off Illidan. Um, so I
So
Yeah,
think our
this is the
if
point
you
that Yip
choose
made
though
last week is that you're not really crafting it like a Thunder Fury or like a uh oh, I forget
At
the
Tiesh,
yeah.
yeah.
And so I mean, it did kind of change my mind on like how I thought about it. Like it is just an item that drops. I mean,
but
it's
what
an
about
awesome item, but it is
how
just an item that drops.
how do DKP guilds handle someone that gets a one warglaive and then the other one
so
drops?
okay, good question. I think that we are doing both warglaives for the first a
Okay, so
bit of
you'll
DKP.
prio the person
Yeah, for the
to
next
both of them.
one.
So they'll
I would
basically pay the DKP one time, is what you're
Because
saying?
Okay.
Okay.
our guild has, and I know I'm kind of derailing by bringing this up, but like anyone that's talking about the current phase, I feel like this is
yeah, this is
the most interesting part for me, anyways. Warglaves and how each
Oh,
guild
I
is
know
handling
about it, and I'm not even playing.
Yeah, like we have one rogue. He's one of my best friends in real life, and he's an officer of the guild, and has been since Classic launch. And it's one rogue and two warriors, and we've decided that we're gonna prio the rogue, and we use our own like version of onslaught system.
Mhm.
But he offered to sit for progression because he's a rogue, and it's like, well, who needs rogues, right? Um, but I'm like trying to pull his teeth because if let's say
If
by
one
some random
drops.
chance, if one drops and he's not there because he chose to sat for progression, the next person in line for it's blue. He's one of our Fury Warriors. He's on Golden State Guardians for like their arena team in retail or something. And like if we give it to him, we can't just like not give him the other one.
No,
Like
we have to keep them together.
yeah, you gotta give him.
And it
I think
sucks.
guilds that are splitting people glaives is like that's just a
Well,
meme.
and
You
it
know?
sucks that like glaives are like they're, you know, statistically better for a warrior in PvE. But a warrior can't use them in PvP unless it's like a meme. So like
I thought that they're statistically better for rogues because rogues
They're
benefit from
they
haste
they
more.
increase the rogue's DPS more, but the warrior in your raid group is going to do
Oh, because
more.
the maximum output of the warrior versus the
Is
maximum output
higher,
of the
yes.
rogue is
Yeah.
higher. That makes sense. Yeah. See, I'm a warlock, so all I care about is my Skull of Gul'dan, and then
Yeah, I mean, we're in a
Reveals.
lucky position, and I think DKP wouldn't be an option if there's only really 3 people up for contention in our guild for glaives, and it's both the GMs and then, like, our selfless rogue who helps everybody doing everything, who has been, like, improved exposed armor this entire time, who sat for progression on Kael'thas and Vash when we needed him to because we run 2 rogues. So it's like any of these people could have it.
He also has summoning alts that like help us summon to
Yeah.
dungeons. I mean, he's really a stand-up dude,
We
man.
would not be DKPing it, I think, if there was anyone who, like, could take it that we wouldn't be in prio contention for anyway. It
Yeah.
just makes it then easier for us to say, like, "Okay, if you want these, then,
Hopefully, I
we'll do it."
heard rumors that the glaive prio is on an accelerated drop rate compared to
I
original
heard about that
DLC.
too.
Interesting.
That's what I've
Yeah.
heard also. So I mean, we'll have to
I think
see.
Thunder Fury was also on an accelerated drop rate, if I'm being honest.
Mm,
It was either
Not
that
in
or
my
just so
experience.
many more people were clearing Molten Core from earlier
Oh,
on that we
I
saw
think
it
that's what
early
it
on.
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's that
And it's just like
like
weird
Molten Core
luck.
was so easy that, a month into Classic, any
People
guild
were
that had 40
yeah.
people was full clearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Whereas back in
and
original vanilla, it was like 6 months or something, right? Until the first
oh
Yeah, like
yeah,
people
yeah,
cleared, like
BWO was out, and the
yeah.
majority of guilds were
yeah.
still like,
People
"What's this Molten
didn't
Core
even
thing?"
people didn't even know what molten core was. Like I
Yeah.
remember like the guild trying to explain it to people. They're like, no, it's a 40-man raid. You're like, 40 man? Like
Yeah.
we
Well, people were still like
we killed
discovering
what's
that
his
quests
name?
exist in random zones because there was no add-ons for it.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah.
we killed the world boss in Azura before ever entering Molten Core. And we were like world second, or not world second, server second to like clear both Molten Core and BWL. So like it wasn't
uh,
like we were like behind the curve. Like it was a way different thing.
Yeah.
mhm.
I think that just contributed to so many more Thunder Furies.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
But
I think
sorry,
so.
yep.
I was just gonna say based on our own drop rate, it seemed to line up with, like, that 3%, per binding for us, but, yeah, there definitely were more than than an actual, vanilla. But, in Mount Hyjal, so Khazra will explode you when you, run out of mana, and he burns your mana, so that's, pretty important. But other than that, you just face him toward NPCs. We had a couple of tanks, tanking cleave as well too. He does, like, a split cleave where, the amount of people in front, just the damage gets split. And when it was in front of the NPCs, like, I wasn't sure exactly how much damage it was gonna do, but it was like none. He did like nothing to my bear. It was pretty unbelievable. So that was pretty easy for me. I think really just as long as you don't explode, that boss goes down um, pretty easily. But yeah, other than that, Asgalar is next, um, and he also has a cleave. He's the one that silences that Bob was talking about. He's got a rain of fire, which is annoying, and then he puts a doom on people that you can pull over to the Tauren warriors that are nearby. And when you die, you turn into a Doom Guard, and you can have an off tank pick those up. And the Tauren warriors will fight them, and they'll tank them. And again, for most people, this is like very. All these fights are like very vanilla reminiscent. It's like tank and spank for most people, and like one thing to look out for: like don't run out of mana and explode people. Don't be in rain of fire. It's pretty simple. So I think like going over the bosses pretty briefly before you do the waves is like plenty, as long as people are looking at what these bosses do. Like, there's not I don't think there's like a hard progression on these bosses. It's just like keeping it together. And then finally, there's Archimonde, uh, who I would say is significantly harder than the other bosses in there. Um, it's like a lot easier for like random things to go wrong because one person dying or one person messing up can have a chain effect. So every time somebody dies on Archimonde, there's like this. There are a couple of different, depending on what class dies. There's a couple of different like debuffs and dots that go out, which can be difficult. So if one person dies, it's likely for another person to die, and then you just have a chain, and you all die. But the big stuff is that he'll knock you in the air. You got to hit a little item that you get. As a tank, I don't think I ever get knocked in the air, but I was ready if I did. So, Bob, did you ever get knocked into the air? Any issues?
Every time, yeah, I got knocked in the air
Nice.
every time. The only thing you have to remind people of is like the slow fall is only a few seconds. So
Yeah,
you do not want to hit it immediately. You want to wait till you're about to hit the ground, then hit it. The closer to the ground that you hit it, the faster you're back in the fight too. So there's a little timing thing there.
yeah.
But
Like falling as
pretty
a
easy.
paladin. Like imagine you have to bubble yourself before you hit the ground, as
Yeah.
opposed to like slow falling and you're trying to like glide your way down. You just hit it right before you land.
Yeah, and when you
But
do slow fall, you fall much further too. So the higher up you do it, you're gonna because it shoots you away from the boss. At least that was my experience every time, was shooting me away from the boss. And as soon as you hit slow fall, you're going at a much less of an arc. So you're going even further back from the boss.
yeah, and he puts out a really horrible curse, which in conjunction with the fear that he puts out, can be pretty annoying. It does like a ton of damage, and then if it's not getting decursed immediately, people are dying. We had some issues in our wipes where like mages were dying to it when they could have like done it to themselves, like decursed themselves and stuff. Um, but after I think maybe I think we had 2 wipes and then we cleared him. Um, and yeah, I mean he really wasn't that bad either. Like you don't stand in the fire and you hit the
Yeah.
button.
I mean, the f the, like, first 2 wipes could have even been attributed to we just didn't have a decursor, like, we didn't think about it, we didn't have a decursor on our side of the map, like, so we just didn't at least the second wipe, like, all the locks died from the curse, and there was just no one there to curse, so they just ended up moving one of the mages from the mage group over to
Yeah, I
the
think the problem is
warlock
there
group.
there are people within range, but once the if you get feared just like into the middle of nowhere, then people might not be close at all if there's like no one in your on your side of the map.
Is Archimonde one of those fights where it's gonna be just basically you can get RNG screwed on your parsing? Like, you just can't parse if you
Yep.
get launched in the
Yeah,
air,
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
like
it's not just launched in the air.
yeah.
The way that we had to do it, like our parses look pretty rough on that fight, is because there you have to just be careful with the fire. The fire will loop around and trap you. So like you might be like if you're casting, you might just have to like run around really far to get to a place where you can cast safely again. But it's really worth it because how much damage can go out and how important a death is. You like have to move, at least right now.
Well, I
Um,
think the isn't the strat supposed to be if the fire is following you, you just run straight back from the boss, like, you turn your character 180 degrees and run? Because I
yeah,
was
that
watching
could
a bunch
That
of
would probably
attempts
be
and
a good
pe
idea.
people were running, like, in circles, like,
Yep, that was
circling their
happened to
own raid
us.
members and stuff.
Yep.
I'm like, "What are you doing? Like, why?"
Dang, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, you could do it that way. We weren't really. It doesn't move that fast.
Mhm.
that it seemed to be a huge problem. But I mean, I didn't have to move that much as a tank, so maybe Bob has a better idea of how bad the fire is.
I mean, I didn't like it. Did I don't think the fire ever targeted me, but I remember watching people running in circles. I'm like, no, you trapped me.
Yeah, but that's one of those things that I mean, like I said, it took us 2 wipes. I got pretty unlucky on that second fight and got crit with like 0.05% chance to be crit because I messed up my gear and didn't put a belt on, so I got hit for like 10k on my druid, which for a crit is still not that high. It is not that crazy to be hit, so it's really not that hard of a fight, and I think that after a couple of weeks, you'll get like the fire down pretty quickly, and most people shouldn't be struggling too much. Which I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about. I kind of had I had a sneaking suspicion it would be on our command, clearing all of Hyjal like super easily. We had 1 wipe, like I said, where we had to do waves over again. Um, it's like it is very different than the struggles of like Morgrim, Bash, and KT
Very
last
different.
days. I'm kind of glad though to get some gear in. I'm hoping that Black Temple poses a slightly bigger challenge as we head to the later bosses. When we finished Hyjal, we actually
Well,
went.
here, hold on. Before you move on to Black Temple, I do want to, like, all memeing aside, because I didn't really clear it up in the beginning, but I do want to officially. Mel not being attuned is officially my fault and not hers. I was giving you the reasons and the excuses, but at the end of the day, she did call me and say, "Hey, are you sure that I'm attuned?" My memory failed me, and I thought she was because I knew that I was attuned and thought that she would come with, but ultimately, I could have taken a second, log into her character, look at attune, and known that she wasn't, and possibly gotten it straightened out before raid time, and that was my ball drop and not Mel's. So I just wanted
Bob
to
must
clear
have got
that
a
up
text. Bob must
without
have
the.
got a
Balls.
text.
No, I have no text.
Well, I'm glad
No.
to hear that your balls dropped finally, Bob.
Well,
Yeah,
it's just like
there.
it went once I told her, yes, you're attuned, it became my fault. So that's period. That's the end of the day. Like, I put it on me to make
He's
sure
saying
that it
this
was
now
done.
because there is more, because she was not on the Black Temple part, which I didn't mention earlier. She
Yep,
couldn't
this
get the
is the whole.
phylactery from Rage Winter Chill,
Oh, no, no,
which we
no.
didn't know.
Yep.
Bob seemed to know. I think Bob knew on Rage Winter Chill that she couldn't loot
She
it,
told me I didn't. Yeah,
but no,
I
but decided
didn't
to
think that
conceal
we
that
were
from the
gonna. Well,
raid.
we talked about it. I had told chat all of day and had asked that like we were planning on just doing Mount Hyjal, and that was the plan going in. So like I didn't. So when Mel said that, I was like, you don't really need to tell him because we're only doing Mount Hyjal tonight. Just like save it. Like you'll get it next week. It'll be fine. And then when we finished so early, and you guys are like, we're going to BT. I was like, fuck.
I was like confused. I was like, why does it sound like everyone knows that
What
Mel
what
was
are your normal raid nights?
Tuesday, Thursday, we raid for 3
Yeah,
hours.
so if we hadn't went to
Okay.
BT, no one would
Yeah,
have
you've been
ever
fine.
known. She would have just looted the phylactery. No one would have been paying attention.
I
Like,
I feel kind of griefed by Blizzard, because
Yeah.
I'm a Tuesday Wednesday raid guild,
Oh, yeah,
and
that's awful.
their release schedules, like, why would you release it in the middle of a week?
oh, we talked about
Like,
this last week. It's because
Yeah.
of China. Like,
it has to be because of China?
well, I mean,
Because I can't now. I'm not doing
so
Hyjal Black until
E,
next week.
okay,
Like
so
we didn't even go in.
EU reset days Wednesday. We're
Mhm.
Tuesday. China's Thursday. If they reset it Tuesday or Wednesday, China would get an extra lockout.
I got you.
Which I
So
feel like
this
there
is
is an
when
easy solution
Yeah,
to
we
this.
talked about this
There
with Meldorod
there
last time.
is an
Forget
easy
China.
solution.
this is when Bob should just tell me like, "Hey, Winky, shut the hell up and go listen to the podcast
Oh,
on your
no,
own."
no,
No,
no. I
no,
think
no.
that's good. Yeah. No, I think
But
that's
I'm
good.
sad. I wanted to get in there this week and prog it, but
Well, yeah, I mean, it's actually crazy because even Wednesday would give a guild like mine a day to farm some trash or something, or do
Hmm.
something. Kill Rage, Winter Chill, then do BT trash, whatever we want to do. But we had
Hmm.
no choice. We had 3 hours on Thursday to do whatever. And I don't know. It's kind of a bummer because like logs exist, and especially on a dying server, which I mean, our servers is I don't want to say dying, but it's not super active. There's not new people coming. How well you do on your server matters for recruitment purposes. So the fact
Yep.
that like our progress is gonna not happen until next
Hmm.
week, it's
Yeah.
sort of like,
To
okay, we're gonna look
clarify,
like we couldn't do
And
it's a
yeah,
BC.
no,
dying alliance server. It's definitely popping for Horde with 15K
Well,
Horde on there.
that doesn't for recruitment, that doesn't make a huge difference for
Duran
red.
and I just had a long discussion on his stream yesterday about how much I hate Warcraft logs. So
Yeah.
that's
Hmm.
another one of the many reasons that I hate the damn website. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's a whole podcast topic in itself. So I'm not
Oh
going to go
yeah.
into
I
that.
mean,
Oh
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, we had a problem. I mean, it didn't cause any recruitment problems, but we had a speed problem where we always take a break in KT or in Tempest Keep. We're always taking a break.
Mhm.
So
Well,
our
every
speed
boomer guild
numbers
has to
just
take a
don't
10-minute break.
exactly. So
We take a
our
3-minute
speed,
break.
yeah,
I
we're
actually
not
get
yet.
offended because when we switch raid leads in my guild, and when we switched raid leads, our new raid lead, what he started saying, like we would clear SSC, and then we would head to TK, and he said, "Okay, so everyone start moving to TK. This counts as your 10-minute break."
Oh, I hate that.
And I'd be like, you what?
Yeah,
No,
that's horrible.
right?
I'm a hard no on that.
Yeah,
They
so I was like, "You're gonna require me to sit here and play on my 10-minute break? Like, I gotta pee, man. Like, I gotta go get 6 more beers so I can deal with this raid." Right? Like,
Yeah. You
I don't
gotta
know.
have a break in there. So, like, there's stuff
Yeah.
like that where, yeah, Warcraft logs is pretty annoying, but, like, a release like this is, okay, only guilds that are able to raid 6 hours on that Thursday, or, 4 or 5 hours on that Thursday, they're gonna have a much easier time than other guilds. So,
Yeah.
that was kind of annoying. We did end up going into Black Temple, though. Um,
Well, don't
Without
even.
Mel.
You're not going to talk about how hard it was to do that stupid quest with 10,000 Horde outside.
it was really easy to do the quest.
Oh, well, okay. Well, you actually got to port out. Like, a lot of us got killed in that little Akama room. And like, we'd never died there. So we're trying to figure out how to get up there because we've only done the quest with flying mounts. And we're like, no, we can't get up there. No, we can't get up there. And I'm walking with like 4 guildies and we're like, me and FJ are like, how do you get up here? Like, it
Well,
was such a
the
pain.
quest is very easy, I will say. The escort quest part, you can just hover above them, and like you don't have to do anything, and you'll just get the attunement done. You don't have
You
to do
do have to
anything.
stay pretty close to a comma, though. A lot of people failed like twice because they didn't stay
Oh,
close enough.
I think as long as you like see him, you're pretty good. I was pretty far away when I completed it. But you have yeah, just hover above him on your flying mount. The horde were being pretty nice last night. Um, or 2 nights ago. So that was nice of them to not murder us in the sky at least, or or try to grief us that way. But we did go into Black Temple with 24, which was like okay. The trash is like the trash is simpler, but some of it was messing us up a little bit. I'm sure
The
having
poison one was like a little weird for us.
yeah, just the way that we were pulling. I mean, people were tired. We were pushing raid time already. So by the time we finished our uh quest, we were probably at the end of raid time and everyone's ready to go to bed. But we wanted to get a little bit done. So we did Nagentus, who is relatively easy. We were down a healer, so we were 5 healing. And his only mechanic is like a healing mechanic. You just have to top everybody up before you burst his shield. So we did that without a problem. Um, so that really isn't a big deal. I would just say make sure you have like some amount of health. We had a couple of deaths of people who were at like 9k health who didn't get fully topped off before we burst it because not everyone when the call gets made to burst the bubble, everyone's just sort of like looking at health bars. So if you have like 80% health, they're gonna be like, burst it. So if 80% or like 85% of your health is not 8500, having a little extra stamina will probably help make sure you live. Um, because people were just popping in. We have like 1 or 2 deaths, but no wipes there. And then we went to Supremus, and he was the last one that we did. And Supremus is like Thaladred. He like fixates and walks around and bumps people, and he summons volcanoes. Uh, but he also wasn't that huge of a deal. We wiped once because I think people were just dying to volcanoes, and just like standing in them, and they do quite a bit of damage. You kind of have to keep moving during the phase where he's popping them out and chasing people. He's really big. It was like hard to see, and he gets like right up on you. It's like pretty. It's kind of a weird fight, but it also wasn't like super hard. I don't know if Bob has any
Um,
experience on that
it
fight. That
was
was
just
different from mine.
like when I think like the biggest thing just I realize is just like don't worry about your DPS, like just run, like and keep
Yeah.
away from him. And so that was like that was all that but it didn't seem like the volcanoes, the first time we did it, all I saw was the stuff blowing up and chat was like watch out for the volcanoes and I was like what volcanoes? And then I did it again, and I was like, "Oh, you mean the molehills? Like, it's these little,
The mall.
like, miniature volcanoes, that are about, waist high and about the size of, a bean bag." So, describing it as a volcano was what kinda confused me. I was, like, looking for this big thing, but it's just this little thing, and you can stay away from it pretty easy once you know what to look for.
Yeah, it's just annoying if you're being like chased and they get spawned in bad places. But yeah, I mean that wasn't too bad. I think Shade of Akama is really easy. We probably honestly should have gone and killed him, but we stopped at Supremacy. We were like an hour over raid time, and people were pretty done at that point. We got like no gems at all in Hyjal. It seems like Black Temple is the 100% place if you're gonna try to get some gems in your raid. That's the place to do it. We got like two gems out of Hyjal, which was not
Well, there
enough.
were 3 mines when we were walking, but can you,
They
like,
don't
search
always
the
give them.
area for mine? Oh, they don't always give them. Okay.
They don't give epic gems every time, yeah.
Did you guys
That's
get
the
any
problem.
haste rings off the trash in Black Temple?
I don't I don't know. I don't think we got
I
much
don't
out of
think
the
so.
Black Temple trash. We did
Oh,
we
We're
got a
doing some
ton of
trash
trash
after
drops.
this.
Yeah, right after this we're gonna try to do some trash, and maybe shade if we can. But the high jaw trash was dropping loot like left and right. Like every pack had a trash drop on it. I think high jaw almost got us 25 marks of the Illidari, which like covers everybody's flasks.
And then there's, like, a haste drop, like an item that's like a haste buff drops or something? I had heard something about that. Kim got it?
Oh no, you're talking. It's a mind control. You mind control the necromancers, and they have a haste buff
Oh, that's okay.
put on people. Yeah. So we did that. I mean, there was really no point. There's no point in really doing that, but it's cool. Actually, that's a useful tip. If you're struggling on some of the waves, you can mind control one of the necromancers in like a later wave and like make sure everybody is rebuffed, make sure everybody is like full on mana, and then
did
drop it
the
and kill it.
did the Warcraft logs decide if the mind controlling those mobs is valid for the run?
I actually don't know the answer to that question.
I know they were voting on it. I don't know the results of the
Yeah, I don't
voting.
know the
Yeah,
results
I
either.
would hope not.
Good old Warcraft logs.
Yeah,
Just
I would
taking charge and controlling the way we play the game since 2018.
Oh, man, we're not gonna get into it, because we've gotten into it so many times, but parsing is bullshit in TBC, we all know it, so
It
Well,
kinda
it's up
is.
to it's up to the players or Warcraft logs and Blizzard how BS parsing is, but that sort of thing is obviously not a enjoyable way to play the game. So I would hope it does not count for parses. But yeah, I mean we're gonna go back. I think that our big problems are gonna be coming in with Mother Council and Illidan, which I think is for most guilds sort of the harder fights that are out here. I think Council is probably one of the hardest fights. I've seen people recommending. I haven't looked through logs yet, but I've seen people recommending like 7 healers for it, even which we do have if we need. So that's not too big of a deal. But yeah, so far everything is like rather underwhelming, I would say, compared to the difficulty of last tier. But even last tier, the hard fights were the end bosses. So I think next week will be toward the end of Black Temple. I mean, I don't see how we don't get everything done we got this week done on Tuesday, and then on Thursday we're gonna have a full raid time to just like clear Black Temple.
what is
Uh,
the just curious, for the guild, and what's the plan on do we start the week, like, killing Vash and KT, or do we start
no,
on the
no,
new content?
we're gonna start on the new
New
content, and then
content?
we'll go back if we have time. But
Gotcha.
um, it's just, I mean, we need to get like, especially next week, we have more people like the people on the bench and stuff to get the Rage Winter Chill kill. They have to go do the Black Temple like escort quest while we finish Hyjal. So it'll just be easier to get everybody on the same page. And then maybe the week after that, we'll have more time. But I think, I mean, depending on how the rest of Black Temple goes, like I think we'll be clearing pretty quickly. Illidan's a little scary. I mean, I just don't. I haven't looked at logs of a paladin main tanking Illidan. Everyone said that it would be fine. I just haven't looked at logs of it yet. But there's not that much that really scares me for the rest of Black Temple. But it'll be interesting to see.
Yep.
I was listening to Sarth last night, and he was saying it's funny that uh, the current phase is easier than phase 2 launch.
Well, and
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
we've
Yeah.
like I've brought this up multiple times on the show with multiple different guests, and kind of what your take on it too. I feel like the reason that is because original TBC, they had so many people struggling through everything to get up to that next raid, and they just decided to easy mode it to keep people subbed because they were seeing subs drop, and they just decided, hey, we'll just throw something in here, like, and we'll just make sure it's
Maybe.
easy, like, and
I,
that's what
I
I think.
I think the only really difficult, even from remembering when I used to raid in TBC back in the day, the only difficult fights that I can remember were KT and Vash. And even then, like the mediocre guilds back then were still getting KT down regularly, and Vash was the only really annoying fight. Like I remember my guild, once Black Temple came out, we just said screw Vash, we're never gonna do her again. And we would clear SSC up to Vash, and then we would go do Black Temple. Like that was
Yeah.
just kind of the way we did
I
it.
mean, the amount of things that you have to do they're not even on the same scale. Like Vash has so much going on. KT has so much going on. And during progression of those bosses, like Archimond, I was saying, oh, like if one person dies, then it can cause a chain reaction where everyone's dying. But on Vash and KT progression, if somebody died early on those fights, it was basically a wipe anyway. Like you
Well,
would already have this issue where like, okay, we're not gonna have enough. Like, I mean, obviously you have battle reses, but you know, if you don't have everyone going into phase 3 Bash, you might not have enough damage to get her down. With KT, if you're not getting like Thaladred down fast enough when all the lieutenants are up, you're going to run into a bunch of problems. So having anyone die on any progression bosses is already
Well, I
harder.
I also don't know if Blizzard can make a call like that and like stop what they're currently working on to like say, oh well, we need to keep subs, so we need to make this next phase of content easier. Um, maybe they can. I don't know, but it just seems kind of like I feel like back in the day when TBC was being developed, Bash like SSC came out, they had a team working on bug fixes for that or whatever. And then on the back end, like months before SSC even came out, they were already building Black Temple
Yeah.
and Hyjal.
it
So maybe I mean, other than adjusting the fights,
yeah,
you
it
know,
could just be
slightly and
random that they just didn't realize it would be easier, you know.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing to think about. One other thing to think about is on the two new raids, the run back, easy peasy.
True.
Compared to like, I mean, you know, uh, KT run back wasn't bad at all. You know, you just fly right back really quick. You can even repair on the way. But the SSC run back was a bitch.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's just kind of luck with graveyard placement. I don't think Blizzard even considers running back run backs because like after the Onyxia run back of Classic WoW, you'd think they'd be like, "Yo, let's do something about this." Um, but
Oh
they never
yeah,
really
the
have,
Audi run
you
back.
know?
Holy crap. I
Yeah,
forgot
you put
about
it out
that.
of your
Yeah,
I
mind,
think
didn't
they
you?
probably just view it as, this is incentivizing people to play better, you know?
yeah, true. I guess
Yeah.
because you'd think because the devs all rated, right? The devs have ran
Yeah.
back to Onyxia more times than we probably have, even when they're testing the raids. So you'd think
You think
they'd be
they
like,
actually
"Yo, just
ran
run
back
back
during testing
blows."
or they just reset?
I think they
Boom,
ran back.
poof. You think
I
so?
think I
Okay.
think, and if
I mean,
not,
they
they
got
they definitely ran back with their
With
non-developer
their
guild,
yeah,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
they got
Yeah.
Soulstone, Divine Intervention. They put things in the game that
Yeah, that's true. You
you
kind of
know?
have to wipe multiple times to run back. I
Yeah.
don't even think I remember running back in TBC Classic, like relaunch. I don't think I've ran back to a single raid since
We did an
it
SSC a
came
lot
out.
because there was just like bad spots. I mean, we
I mean, if
would
you die in
only
the
have to
middle of
run.
Vash or
Yeah,
something,
we would only have to run back in the dungeon, and then the group that lived, like the warlocks, would summon.
Hmm.
So you wouldn't have
Yeah,
to run the
true.
dungeon. But that walk back to SSC from that graveyard you spawned in is kind of a pain in the ass.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's even a pain in the ass just to get in the entrance to get summoned to back to Vash, Um, but yeah, I don't know.
well, that's the raids. We're what, 7 of 14? Does that sound right? It sounds right to me. I
Yep.
think there's 14
Close enough.
bosses, and I think 5
I
plus
think
2 is 7.
So yeah, it was. I mean, it was pretty good. I like a lot of people are asking, was it underwhelming for you? And I don't think it was, just because I've never seen it. To be, first off, like I PvP'd in TBC, and on top of that, all of the creators that I trust were saying it was going to be a lot easier. So I was just
Yep.
expecting it to be a lot easier, and so I
I
had a
think
good time.
I think the big thing to point out is that I don't think there's any situation where I want to be struggling in Hyjal in a month's time. Not that we struggled now, but I like this at least Hyjal shouldn't be very hard the way that it's set up. So I'm totally happy with Hyjal. But once we see more of Black Temple, if everything falls over in Black Temple too, I think we'll probably be more upset. But um, I don't know. We could I don't want to say we could use like an easy tier, but it just depends on how. I mean, we're gonna be here for a long time. It would be nice if the end of Black Temple is hard and people get stuck there. You don't want, like, people are gonna quit if you just die on Hyjal over and over again. You need like some sort of balancing here, and I think until you see like what normal guilds can do in Black Temple, that'll be sort of like how hard is it actually. Because of course, like a lot of these guilds we're practicing, there's a lot of info out there. We do a lot of prep on what we were doing. I want to see what like an average
Oh,
guild is doing out there. Because if they're wiping over and over, then
I
it's
want to
probably
see. This is never going to happen, but I want to see Sunwell come out with no PTR.
yeah, that would be
I
really
just,
cool.
I just want a phase of content where people haven't been destroying it on a PTR for weeks prior to it
Yeah,
launching,
Yeah, I mean, if
And
they
then
can
it's always
release,
harder on PTR anyway.
yeah, if they can release KT and Vash and leave bugs in for 2 weeks, just go
Yeah,
ahead and release it, and we'll just
yeah.
call it the PTR.
Let's let it be bugged to the point of not even clearable, and then
Let
the
it
guilds that do
be,
clear it get
let
like
it
that
be.
prestige, right?
yeah.
Uh,
I mean, that it's just crazy. I mean, with Nax though, they cared about like the integrity a little bit. They made it so that you did like you had the huge buffs in there, so you couldn't really tell how difficult the bosses were and stuff like that. Like there was some integrity to how hard it would be going in. I
yeah,
think for a lot of people, like Sunwell is the TBC Nax, where it's hard. Not a lot of people saw it, and it would be really nice to go in there and sort of see
yeah.
what's going on in there. And
Well,
this
did,
easy
did you
phase,
do did you do the PTR or the practice runs or whatever it was, the beta maybe of Magtheridon's Lair?
no, we
Dude,
didn't.
it was
Oh,
so hard. It was so
Yeah,
hard. I think
it,
me and Crix were like one of the only two raids that
I was
cleared it.
there.
yeah, you guys
Yeah, Durana
were.
was there.
I think you guys were the only raid that cleared it
I think we were the only raid that cleared it, and because they had
before the
accidentally
nerf.
given him, yeah, they had accidentally gave Mag like 3 million more health than they meant to.
Yeah,
Yep.
but they should have
Dang.
left it. Like, that's what I'm saying. That's what people
Oh
wanted.
man,
People wanted that though. Like the vast majority, at least of the people that I know that play Classic,
Although,
they
to be
want that
fair, the
difficult
vast
challenge.
majority of people that you know are content creators that it's just like what you tell me with hardcore. It's like,
Yeah, it's true. That's a
like,
valid point.
yeah.
so do I know that everybody wants that? I don't know, but I think it would have been cool. It's only one boss. Like, go ahead and just make one boss really freaking hard. Like, it's
Yeah,
fine.
and then nerf it down, maybe in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Like, just give the people that want that challenge the challenge for, and then let it be prestigious that you cleared it before all the other guilds on the server, right? Like,
Yeah.
let
That's
Yeah,
it.
because that's
probably
like a
yeah.
badge you guys can wear for a long time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Be like, dude, we killed the bugged double health mag in
yeah. And if you want
PTR.
to talk about like easy guild recruitment, right? Your guild, everyone would want to join it.
Yeah, you're
Like
ahead
you
of the
would.
curve.
Yeah,
Yeah.
AOTC, right? That's the whole retail moniker, right?
Yeah.
It's just one of the
That
things I
was
wish.
yeah. That's
would do
still
that.
something that I every once in a while I think about, and I'm like, yeah, that's something that I'll remember for probably a long time. And just because I haven't done very much with TBC, this memory of like, oh, on the PTR, just a group of us who were like kind of content creators, friends, got together, and we were the only ones who killed this buffed
I mean,
Mechtherion
there's
against guilds like Apes and Progress that were also
Yeah.
PTRing at the same time.
not to take us on a tangent, but there's like a few things in WoW that I'll never forget ever. And like one of them is in vanilla during the BWL phase. So we were like, it was halfway through the BWL phase, it was BWL geared, but like I remember, and I'll never forget it. I took aggro on freaking Ani. I was a rogue, and I tanked Ani the entirety of the last phase. And
Yeah.
like everybody was cheering. They're like, "Oh, dude, take off self. Oh, dude, heal him, heal him, heal him. Oh, oh." And everybody was, it was just like one of the most epic moments of my gaming life, you know? And it's just like, those types of things are amazing. And so I'm,
Yeah,
you,
and get
you
ready,
guys
by
can
the
wear
way,
that
Bob.
feather forever.
Get ready to add to that list with hitting 60 on your first hardcore tune, because that's
I'm
definitely
excited. I'm nervous, but excited.
it's a moment you'll never forget. You need to start planning like what song you're gonna listen to, like during like
And
while you're
like the
gonna on your
RP
way.
walk. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Your
And,
location, like where do you want to turn in your
yep.
last,
My
20
last,
XP quest.
yeah, I figure I'll do it with rune cloth at one of the major cities, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's
Or I'll
pretty
just
standard.
walk, do Iron Forge and an RP walk, at 59 right into the lava and have to, we go again.
I'm I'm a borderline alcoholic, so I always ding by turning in the quest to get your Rumsy Rum in Booty Bay. That's how I prefer to
Oh,
ding
nice,
60.
nice.
Yeah.
I
Then you
did I
drink all of
did
it at once.
I did forget to mention, and someone put it out in chat, we are Vargflocken, the number one Phase 3 Morgrim guild. No one has executed Morgrim better than Vargflocken has in Phase 3. And I
Was it
do
in
Wow.
want to
a
give a couple
was it in a
tips.
bug?
Well, it can't be a bug because other guilds take just as little damage as us. We're still
Okay.
number 1 by just a little bit off other people. So he just, like, didn't quake until 10%. That's the only he didn't do any mechanics. Maybe he was
We
water
were
engraving
so
people,
No, we
confused.
had
but
we had the same we had the same thing happen in one of our attempts, where
yeah,
he just didn't do anything and you just
and
pumped him down and
yeah,
everyone parsed like a 99 or a 100. You're like, "Whoa, cool,
yes,
look at
and
that."
now we are
Like,
the number 1 guild on
yeah.
execution for Morgrim.
Yeah, we had that
But
happen on
anyway.
ATS. It's one of the crowning moments of our dad guild.
Yeah, we
Heck,
kind of forgot to, yeah, Yip didn't even go over our Tuesday raid where
there's
we just like,
oh,
we killed every boss. Like we killed all of SSC, all of TK, Mag, Gruel, everything in under raid time. And we were like, oh, okay, cool.
That's how you do it.
All right, well,
yep.
let's go ahead and move into the news. So first up in the news, it's not news for us, but kind of interesting. And a lot of people think it's gonna come to us, but I'm just saying, before I talk about this, the WoW token was in Chinese servers a month into Classic, and it's still not on our servers. But the Chinese realm for TBC Classic has offered the Spectral Tiger as a 6-month sub reward. So you get the Spectral Tiger, like one of the most famous things in TBC, for a 6-month sub in China. And I just thought this was interesting. Like, I don't think anybody in China is mad about this. I think they like this, but
This is such a culture difference. That the only no one in this is just how it works in China and like Korea. Like they don't they got they heavy item mall, a ton of cosmetics extra. Even Diablo has like paid cosmetics that they don't
Yeah.
have in America.
Well,
Like this is just how it goes,
let's
unfortunately.
let's think about it if you're Blizzard, right? If you're Blizzard and you have an item in the game called the Spectral Tiger, which has always been some kind of monetary reward, whether it was the card game or whatever, right? And it's the year of the tiger with Chinese New Year this year. Come on.
well, okay, and
You
just to
you gotta do it, right? You
clarify,
just gotta be like, "Yeah."
it's a different company that runs WoW in China. I believe they give kickbacks to Blizzard, but it's a completely different company that runs it. So it's completely separate.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's a little separate. The idea, the concept is still there.
Yeah,
There's no
I'm sure
reason
people
you
love it
wouldn't.
though.
Yeah, there. I highly doubt that there are people who are upset about that over there.
Yeah.
I doubt that the Spectral Tiger even holds the same weight. Like, do people even know if there's like retail options for the Spectral Tiger in
I'm
China? Like,
guessing in China, the card game was never out.
Like,
So
yeah, they probably have something similar over there. So I don't know. It's people get really up in arms with this sort of stuff, like you said, like the WoW token in China, but these are never like indications of what's gonna happen here or anything like
yeah,
that.
I don't
There's
think
Yeah.
this comes to us.
no.
I don't think at all. Like it's too sacred here. Now, what I talked about, way back when TBC hadn't launched yet was I wish that all the different prizes that were in the TCG game were in Hearthstone because I thought that would be a really cool integration. But like, yeah, I don't see this coming to us at all, and I just was curious if you guys thought that this was an indicator at all.
I would love if it did, man. I'm one of those people. People hate me for this hot take, but I want the WoW token. Like I want all of
Oh,
that. Give it to us
I
in
don't really
TBC.
want the WoW token, but if the WoW token came out, I'm one of your first customers. I'm
Yeah,
not.
right.
I'm
No,
like
yeah.
I'm not trying to like pretend I'm like all high and mighty. Like I will definitely buy it.
I think it just comes with an acceptance that I have that Blizzard will never do anything about botting or gold selling.
Yeah.
So
And
so
this
the
definitely
the
makes it
only
better.
workaround, yeah, the only workaround for me is like put the token in. Like it's the lesser of two evils, but it's the only one we're likely to ever see happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not banning bots. They never will.
No. Yeah, they're not. There's actually I don't wanna.
If you actually think
I
they're
mean,
ever
they
going to ban
do
bots, you're
ban
holding out
bots.
hope.
Well, they do ban bots, but they do it in a way that the bots make plenty of money to stay in business for the next time. Like they do
Yeah,
ban them.
there's
They
some
just
math
don't ban them
behind it.
fast enough to make it
I
not
I've seen a
worthwhile
content
for them.
I've seen a content creator like reporting to Blizzard community manager like just screenshots of like all these bots are on
Is it
benediction. Look at all these
Solheim?
bots. No.
Okay, because
Uh
that dude's YouTube channel, 2 videos a week on bots.
yeah. Okay,
Like,
well I'm
set
not
your freaking
calling anyone
watch to
out.
it. I'm gonna call him out. I call him out in his comments all the time too. It drives me
Um
nuts.
Well, you got to realize too, he wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't beneficial for his YouTube channel.
True, true. I
yeah.
mean,
A
he's
lot of a
getting
lot of the things
views
with
on it. It
content
just
are just
drives me nuts. I'm like, okay,
yeah.
another bot
Don't
video.
don't don't co-opt my point. Don't
Sorry.
don't take
Go
my point
ahead.
as well. All
Yep,
I'm
go ahead.
saying is that it's laughable because they're not gonna Blizzard doesn't care. Like, oh wow,
Yeah.
you've done the research. You've did the slash who, and look at all those bots you found with names that are just like slammed letters and they're guildless mages. Good work submitting it to
They're
us. We'll look
always
into this. Like, what
it's
a
always
joke.
a hunter with a pet that's named Chinese characters,
Yeah, like
you know,
what a joke, dude. Like they're
flying
not.
above the world and without a mount, just hopping along the air. Like,
Yeah,
come on, dude.
it's 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 a
They're
sad
never
state,
good.
but
Come play
um
hardcore where botting doesn't matter. Let the
Yeah.
bots bot.
exactly. Go play hardcore or raid log and have a guild bank master
Mhm.
like ours that gets you or guild everything we need. That's it's that simple.
Mhm.
Just do that and then we'll be fine. But uh yeah, I mean that's the spectral tiger mount. The other and
Dude,
next thing in the news. Oh, Bob's back.
just to speak to that though about Kim, like, dude, we found a freaking unicorn. Like, and Kim has now made it so we don't have to pay for repairs during raid too. I mean, come on, like that's not normal.
Listen, we didn't find a unicorn. We built a unicorn, okay? Dude, Kim was
We've
a
created the
nobody.
unicorn.
Kim
Kim
was a
was a
nobody, no
nobody.
parse priest, and we took him
Oh
under our
no.
wing. We fed him a benediction back in
Uh,
like phase 2.5 or something, and he grew from there. He sprouted up for us.
He's a freaking unicorn. It's amazing. But you
I
were
knew Yip
taking
would be
us on
toxic.
to. Oh, sorry.
I was just saying I knew Yip would be toxic at some point tonight. Just how it goes.
But Yip was
Uh,
taking us on to the next point. So go right ahead, Yip.
yeah, they made a bunch of PvP changes that I'm a huge fan of because I've been thinking that maybe my Edgewalkers aren't the best boots that I could be wearing right now. Maybe I could be getting some season 3 boots, but the farm is just too unbearable. But they did a couple of things that I'm gonna read out now that they put in on Tuesday. After the season started, which is kind of annoying for some people who went out and bought all their stuff, and then these changes came in, but that's fine. PvP faction items now require honored, which is the way I had always remembered it. Because I think that's how it was
That's
when
how
they
it
came
was,
out.
but yeah, okay, yeah, maybe we should just talk about each of them as you read them off. Think?
Yeah, I mean, just a quick
Yeah,
note. I mean, it's not that
so
important.
this was the way it came out, but
Yeah.
it was in Sunwell. So they initially said, "Oh, well, since we're bringing it out early, we're gonna make it revered." But the problem with that is a lot of people have PvP alts in TBC, and that revered thing, F that. You're not gonna do that. Like, if there was dual spec, then this probably would have been the revered probably wouldn't have been a problem because you're switching your spec, you're fine, you're gonna go do some PvP. But yeah, it
I
should have
mean, it
just been
still wasn't a
honored from
problem.
the start.
Nah, I'm in agreement. I like the revered thing because it was too early to just let anyone
But
get it.
like the
Like I think
blue
that that
gear
was
was so bad though. Like it's still not great. Like it's barely an entry. Like you're getting
yeah,
it for the
but
set
it wasn't
bonuses.
for alts though when it came out. Like I know what you're saying, but
I
people didn't
gotcha.
have their main PvP gear farm. Like this is the alt change. All of these changes. But yeah, that gear is bad, so it it is what it is. But the battleground mark costs for season 1 gear have been removed. So that's pretty big. You just don't need marks for that. The Vindicator gear, the new season 3 gear, the marks are reduced in half, which is also pretty big. So something like boots requires 40 Eye of the Storm, belt is 40 like a Arathi Basin. All those are cut in half, which is really nice.
And
If you hate Warsong like I do, the bracers going from 20 Warsong to 10 Warsong is
How you
perfect.
yeah,
win free
and
game.
just to let everybody know, I read this wrong the first time. Vindicator is the season 3 off pieces
Yes.
as opposed to the season 2 being veterans. So I'm sure a lot of people could mix that up just like I did.
Yeah, it's a season 3 gear. The amount of bonus honor awarded from marks to honor repeatable quest has been increased. So this is actually really huge because what ends up happening is uh, each of your marks is now worth quite a lot more because you get like 600 some honor for the turn
And
in of each one
you used to get like
of all the marks.
311 or something, right?
Yeah, so
Something
it's
like
like
that.
doubled. But the most important thing is because you need less marks elsewhere, you end up with an excess of marks that you didn't have before that you can actually do this turn in without being like, well, how can I turn in my war song marks? I don't want to go do more war song. That'd be awful. So that is really good. That increases your honor per hour rate by quite a bit. Also, really important, the daily call to arms provides 3 marks now, and the bonus honor is close to 1,000. So
Yeah, that's what I heard.
if you do your daily every day, you get like the equivalent of like 1,700 honor for winning that one
Yeah,
single
it's a
daily because of the
huge
turn-ins that you
upgrade.
can do. You get 6 marks, so like it was Warsong the last 2 days for me. I don't know what's up with that, but I just won twice. Uh I played twice, won twice, and I ended up with 12 war song marks. End up with like 2,400 honor from all of that, and I'm gonna be able to turn in all those war song marks because you get the 3 for winning, and then you get the 3 for doing the quest. So it's really, really nice to do your daily every day. So your my honor's been shooting up from that, and then like I said earlier, the world PvP, Hala, Terrakar, Hellfire fortifications now also provide like 1,000 honor per quest, and they're the Hellfire fortifications. You can do that every day. If you're on a server like ours, I feel bad for the Horde for this, but we can just fly to each Hellfire fortification, take it, and then move to the next one and take it, and move to the next one and take it, and they just like follow you retaking it. And because if you're the smaller faction, the
You
other faction
actually
almost always has it. Yeah,
it's
it's
actually
really
one
easy.
benefit, huh?
Yeah, with Terracar, what we've been doing is you don't have to win Terracar. The daily is just that you have to take one tower. So all the alliance, which is the small faction for us, we all just huddle onto one spirit tower, and then once the timer is up for like being able to take the tower, all the alliance are there taking it. You take your one, and then you leave and let the horde take all the other towers in no time. So It's really easy to farm these out, get 2 or 3,000 honor, do your daily, get an extra 1,000 honor plus marks. So you're gonna go if you just do your daily every day and do these, you're gonna go into next season full with everything that you need. You don't need to grind anymore. I
This
think that this
next
is an
one,
incredible change.
this
And then
next
yeah, the
one's
next
kind of
one.
sick, right?
Yeah, tier 4 and 5 tokens can now be exchanged for season 1 and 2 gear at tier vendors, which means you can go do Magrill, you can go do tier 5, and people might actually still want to be there doing it because they can get their glad gear from it.
Is it
All
not
those
nuts?
naysayers who are like, I don't want a PvP, now can do it accessibly. If you do your dailies in a week, you can get like 2 off pieces just playing like 30 minutes a day. You can very easily get off pieces, very, very easily go back and raid and get your gladiator gear. Even season 1 glad gear is like okay. There are some people who have like, there are some classes and specs that will have a big boost. But going from like PvE gear to Glad 1 gear is still going to be really, really solid for battlegrounds. You're going to have a ton more resilience. You're not going to get eaten alive. So
I
they've made PvP much more accessible with all of these changes.
I wish we would have known a day earlier because I would have liked to have rolled on some of those like lock pieces, so
Well,
I
it's
could
a
have
lot.
just had more
People turned in
stamina.
pieces. People turned in pieces the day before this stuff came out. Like no one had any
Yeah,
idea,
and
which is kind of
disenchanted
like a
them.
bummer.
Yeah,
I
we
think I actually
had.
Um,
still have some tokens in my bank from like different enchant offsets that I was gonna get. I should go turn them in and grab.
Yeah, I have a couple that I might turn into. But yeah, I mean, it's things like the only people I see complaining about this are people who are like naysayers, like, oh, it's too late to make these good changes, which I think is kind of like a ridiculous, like, don't make changes because you waited too long. Like, I
Yeah,
still
I
think
mean,
changes should
you
come.
can be mad because
Um,
it's late, but at the same time, like,
and
at least
then
it's changed, right?
it's like I don't know. It reminds me of like the forgiving student debt argument. People are like, well, I had to farm all my PvP gear, so
Yeah,
no one else should have an easier time
Well,
farming their PvP
and
gear.
it's
And
not as
okay,
bad as the Chrono Boon, displacer where it came in at the very end of the expansion. Like, this is still, halfway through.
yeah.
Chrono Boon, dude. You're unlocking achievements in my brain of trauma.
Just opening back up. But yeah, I
Why didn't
mean,
they just have it off launch? Oh god.
I
Oh
know
man.
life
Well,
would have
and
been
then they've also lowered the price. Even before this, they've lowered the price of some of the gear. Like anybody who doesn't have the PvP trinket, in the PvP trinket, the new one for TBC, isn't that only 2K now as
yeah,
opposed to
it's really
8K at the
cheap.
start of the expansion?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, PvP is much easier to get into, especially on an alt. So I honestly, all these changes are I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say objectively good for the game. I think it'll increase PvP participation. They did it in a way where it's not just like you gain double honor, you gain triple honor per hour. They did it in a way that makes you participate in world PvP. They did it in a way where you want to do. You're not just farming all track valley. Like having the daily be worth so much more honor and getting people into like Warsong and Eye of the Storm and Arathi base and to get good honor per hour. Like these are all really, really smart, good changes for PvP that I'm very happy with.
Yeah, I mean, it's got me, thinking like, oh, okay, well, after I'm done with, completing my first hardcore character, I'm gonna go hard on my rogue and like get some of this stuff. And I'm gonna probably do my PvP daily every day with Bob again, whereas I had just kind of checked out of PvP, period. And these changes make me interested in coming back, so I think that's a good thing.
I agree.
I know you guys don't do a lot of TBC PvP, so probably don't have much to add. You want us to move on to the next one?
Sure.
Sure, yeah, no, that's fine.
Poor Duranasaur.
Uh,
You're gonna have your day in 2
I
more
know.
topics. It's
I
coming,
know.
Duranasaur.
we're
It's
gonna let
coming.
Duranasaur do all the talking.
Well,
I
I
did make
mean,
fun of Bob last week. I was like, Bob, you do know new content's coming out next week for TBC, right?
I know, but
It's fair.
we do want to talk about the road to Rag while it's still, in everybody's mind. So I thought this
Yeah,
was
Bob's
a good
Bob's
thing.
a hardcore Andy now. Just get over it. Yeah,
He
Yeah.
is.
he's joined the
So
dark side.
it's
He's
so
like, let's just
true.
get all this TBC nonsense out of the way and talk about hardcore.
Well, the
Yeah.
last TBC nonsense is just a shout out to Progress for the first 14 of 14 clear. I think the community is agreeing that that's world first. There was 2 different guilds that had world first Hyjal and world first BT, but I mean, I think everybody's agreeing that it's the full clear of all tier content
Yeah.
to be
Don't
Well,
world
ask
it's
first.
because
Reddit.
I
it's
think
because that's what Warcraft logs said it
Yeah.
as.
Don't ask Reddit either because world first, according to them, was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
oh god,
World
yeah, that's
second first. I should actually say that. I normally do say that. World second
world
first.
second first.
But then what about the private servers, Bob?
Oh man.
Well, I
It's
mean,
like world 51st
Well,
first,
I
right?
think
I will
yeah.
say I watched the entire race. Progress did a fantastic job. I was so surprised how close it was.
it was
I don't know.
minutes away. Yeah.
Like, yeah, so there's the Russian guild, I believe, Exodus.
Mhm.
I think they would have won, but they wiped once in BT because they ended up being like a minute and a half, 2 minutes behind Progress, and that might have been
I
the
could be
difference.
wrong. I think Progress did a trash skip that Exodus didn't do also of 1 pack that, like, that alone could have made the difference. Like,
Yep.
that's how tight it was where it
Yeah.
came down to, like, the fundamental,
Ooh,
It
can
was
I
fun to
give my
watch.
hot take about like what's better than watching the world first races?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
I'm on a dad guild server, and my guild server has it's a PVE server, right? Because I don't want my world west purged and all that shit. But I actually joined my dad guild Discord in my raid team. Those of us who wanted to participate, we all sat in our Discord and we watched server first for our dad guild
Mm.
server. And I'm telling you, man, it was
That's kinda
on
cool.
par it was on par, if not better
Well, I mean,
than the
that's
world first race
coming in
because it's
Wrath.
like yeah, well, it was like dad guilds that were wiping. And it was so funny because they're like preparing, they're not the best in the world. They're actually pretty darn bad, right? Like the best on our server is like terrible in comparison to some of these like tryhard guilds. And it was just way more fun to like sit there with your friends, like kind of shit talking, kind of memeing, just having a good time watching these dad guilds try and like push, right? Because they're sweating, they're like, oh my god, we wiped, like this isn't what we planned on the
So,
PTR. And I'm like, oh my
okay,
god,
so
this is so funny, dude. Like
okay, so in Wrath, you get the server first achievements that come out, but that makes it
Mhm.
easy to like follow. How did you find the
You can
streams
do that
of the
on
guilds?
Usually people put like
Warcraft
hashtag
logs?
ATS or like whatever
Or
like
they
if you
post on the
stream.
server Discord. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll put it on the server
yeah.
Discord, they'll put it
And
on
Warcraft
Twitch.
logs, you can find people's,
Yeah,
like,
I just
YouTubes
thought
and
about
Twitch.
Warcraft logs. I'm actually integrated into
Yeah.
that too. I didn't even
It
I
think
think
was
that
about that.
so fun, dude. It
this
was
is this
so
is
fun.
obviously better than World First because one, it's what these actual World First people, one, sometimes unattainable. Two, Progress didn't even stream Hyjal, right? They did
Yep.
a VOD review after Tetsu did.
See, I
But
think
I
that
mean that was
sucks.
cool. But that's what I mean. I totally am on board with this server.
Well,
Plus,
it was so funny too though, because it's funny you mentioned they didn't stream part of it. Dude, there was a guild on my server that like their GM said nobody stream our run. We don't want anyone to know our strategies. And
whoa.
I was like, dude, you're fucking kidding me, right? Like I'm sorry to be profane, but like dude, you're really like hiding your boomer dad strats from the PTR from like you realize if anyone wants to watch like an actual speedrun, they'll go watch, Progress or like some of
Yeah.
these other big guilds. Like it, dude, it is
That'd be like
so entertaining watching these guilds, dude. Like it's amazing.
I like it too,
that'd
and
be
you
like
know the guilds.
And
yeah,
there's
that too.
server drama, right? So like if you're around on the same server for a long period of time, you get to know everybody on that server, at least all the active members, right? So there's server drama, right? You've got like the guy who quit your guild and he's in one of those raid
Oh,
teams and
dude.
you're like watching them wipe
We've
and like
got
oh
we've
dude.
got one guy who quit not too long ago, and there's another guy in our guild that just watches them do worse than us
Yeah.
every week and
Yeah.
gives us updates on it. It's
Yeah.
hilarious.
We used to have like my guilds like we love it. Like we used to have after our raid night every Thursday or every Wednesday, we would log in and we would watch. There's another guild on our server that starts right when we end. And we would watch their run in within our guild Discord and just kind of meme the entire time. And it's kind of toxic, yeah, but we're not like out there broadcasting this to the guilds we're watching and like laughing at and like it's all in good fun, right? It's just hilarious. Like I had Crix's stream up, I had all these like big pumper raids going, but I just found myself constantly tabbing back to like the guilds that I know super well,
Oh yeah.
struggling, right?
Dude,
Because the struggle is more fun to watch.
I think that's why people enjoy Yips and our commentary raid
Probably.
updates is like, and there's a lot of people that are in really good guilds that really enjoy that part because it's something they don't ever deal with,
Yeah.
you know?
Talking to Parla, I talked to Parla when he quit raiding on Apes' maiden team. And he said, like, I'm joining a dad guild and I'm just gonna go struggle to do this content because that's 10 times more fun. And I was like, I couldn't agree more.
And I mean,
Like,
honestly, like, I've loved my guild Vargflocken throughout the entirety, and I think you might be on the point to why. Like, I got burnt out of every expansion through Cataclysm because I was in every one of the best guild that I could get in. It was often not the best guild on the server. It was often like the second best, but either way, it just wasn't as fun. Like, this has been
yeah,
so much more fun, and yeah, I mean,
I even told
would have
my
to
guild
agree.
recently. I told my guild recently, I was like, yo, after being in a raid with Ompi raid leading in classic hardcore and like going into Molten Core, which is an easy raid, but like with one life and like all this risk on the line and experiencing like what a true sweaty guild feels like. Like you go in, you're min maxing every GCD to have 100% uptime on every single ability, zero non-active moments, and if Ompi is talking, everybody else just shuts up and you listen to the raid lead, and it's like it's fun uh in small doses, but it is exhausting.
Yeah, and,
Um
you're all in the top guilds, I was always worried about getting sat, so I was always I mean, one time, I had to run to the restroom, I ran back so fast that I slipped on a sock. I smacked my arm on the side of the corner of the table, busted my arm open, took my shirt off, wrapped my shirt around it, tied it, finished
like a like
3 hours of raid, then went to the emergency room for 9 stitches.
oh, you love to see it, dude.
Like,
You're a combat veteran, like, in the
that's
middle of a
how
war, so you
that's
you
how
had to rip your
scared you
shirt and, like,
were.
tie it off, finish the war, and then go back to
Yeah, I
the
mean,
medic tent
one
afterwards.
time I broke my hand and I had this huge cast. I broke my metacarpal bone, the pinky bone, and I was still playing, like, I, like, got everything together because if I missed, I would lose my, spot, like and it
Yep,
was just, like, it was so stressful, and I just never wanna go back to that.
yep. It's just like, it's kinda like watching NASCAR, right? You have to make the decision. Would you like to watch a race where everyone's the best the best drivers in the world and there's never a car crash, or would you rather watch the NASCAR event where there's a car crash every 5 minutes? And that's the Dad Guild, server first attempt.
Yep.
Yep. Like, go to, like, an
Oh,
RP server, go over to Blood Cell Buccaneers and watch their first server first attempts. It is hilarious.
especially if they RP during, like, that'd be awesome.
Uh-huh.
Alright,
I'm still
so
trying to.
you still trying to? You don't ever
I wanna.
try to
Yeah, me and
RP
Yip.
during raid, though.
That's because I value my raid
Yeah.
members not
Me and
hating
Yip.
me.
Yip and I one day, once this hardcore thing pans out and we have our own hardcore servers, me and Yip are gonna start the role-playing
Yeah,
guild within the hardcore servers
the first role
where we
play to
RP
60, no
walk. Yeah.
deaths.
I want
Honestly,
I
no
want
deaths.
survival mode.
Y
I want, like,
survival
real
mode.
WoW I wanna drink water because my character has a thirst bar, and I wanna sit and eat because my character has a hunger bar.
That's the
I like
ultimate role play hardcore
Well,
yeah,
challenge.
survival
yeah,
game's coming out, so we didn't even put that
yeah.
in the notes, I guess. We'll
I
talk about it
want
next week.
I want the survival WoW experience on an RP server where it's like
Yeah.
you walk
Man,
if you
They
run too much, you have to toggle RP walk because you're out of stamina, right? Like, that's what I want.
they need private servers, or
The
they need
ultimate
mods.
challenge.
They need to
Yeah.
allow people to mod the game,
I
put
bet
up
you
their own server.
you could probably set something up with a weak aura or like an add-on to where you could actually have like a timer of like when you toggle on RP like RP run, right? Or just regular character run. like it starts a timer and like this bar goes down on your screen, right? And then you turn
Is
it off and then it goes
Well,
back up, right?
we
is there a
And
slash suicide in WoW? Can you just kill yourself with a command in
no,
WoW?
Not
There's
in
other
classic.
games that you can do that in. That would be super nice. Just like if you hit these requirements, it just slash
hmm
suicides you.
maybe I'll
we
get with my
talked.
buddy. He's a coder. If I can get an add-on built, maybe I'll start like a challenge hardcore run where it's like survival mode. You have to like buy apples and like sit and eat them every 5 minutes or
I'm
something. I
in.
don't know.
Well,
I'm
like
into this. If we need capital, let's get this rolling.
I treat it like Fallout on survival mode. You ever play Fallout on the hardest difficulty where you have to sit and eat and like camp in woods and
I
shit?
usually don't.
Dude, it
Stop.
is so fun. It's challenging, but it's rewarding. That's what matters.
I forget what episode we talked about this on, but we talked about something Blizzard could do is they could allow you to start your own server, mod it. Like
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
would have to pay a certain amount a month, but
Mhm.
if you got enough people playing that server, like there could be a point in which Blizzard starts to pay you kickbacks
Yeah.
for you running that server. And that's something that could be
Something that
really kind of neat.
games
Yeah.
like Rust do that already. Games like Rust and Ark, these survival games are that's
GTA
primarily how
RP.
they're ran. Yeah, GTA RP, huge one. One
Yeah.
day,
Okay,
yet me
so
and you to the end.
last piece of news. Um, there more Blackwing layer changes on the PTR for Season of Mastery. We're in the Season of Mastery news is the only one, and then we're moving on to the next. But is there anything that jumped out? One thing that jumped out to me is I believe that Vale, like now you don't die for sure at the end of Vale if you get burning adrenaline, or did I read
That's-
this wrong?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it works differently. It's not a guaranteed death. And a lot of people, like hardcore community in particular, think that that's them kind of throwing us a bone, like a
Probably.
I mean, I
It
feel like they
probably
kind
yeah.
is.
of with the Soul of Iron buff, I feel like they kind of had to, right?
Yeah, that's our
Yeah.
general thought is that they knowing that people are trying to do these raids on one life characters, they're like, okay, let's get rid of the guaranteed death mechanics and still have stuff in there that is likely to kill people, but you can mitigate it by just playing better, playing safer, smarter.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, I think it's good, right?
Yeah.
It's
I
great.
mean, I think it goes to show too. I know Bob trashes Soul of Iron sometimes. I think having actual things in the game, it promotes their development side as well too. Like if Soul of
Yeah.
Iron's not in the game, now it's like they're really pandering to like a community if they make these changes. But once they add Soul of Iron to the game, well, Blizzard
yeah.
already decided they like
Yeah, yep,
only
Yeah.
having the
yep.
one death.
I've come around a little bit on the Soul of Iron thing and realized that like I'd be pretty upset whether I got my death waived or not. Because I've had a couple DCs at this point. Like the other day,
I'll have you.
on Tuesday, when there was a bunch of weird server stuff going on at TBC and Classic, I'm in Stranglethorn Vale and I'm fighting trolls and I just get DC'd while I'm fighting I was fighting a pack of two. I had just killed one. I'm fighting the other troll. DC happens. I'm like, what just happened? What just happened? And I'm like, clicking to get back in. I'm clicking to get back in. I get back in. The troll's there. I vanish immediately. I'm like, okay. I walk away. I get booted again. I'm like, I'm like trying to get back in, And then I get back in and I'm like, here, hearth. I'm hearthing. I'm like, just do it before I get booted again. And then I get booted. And then I'm like, okay, I guess I do care about the Soul of Iron because I was streaming the whole time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh
so
yeah.
I've definitely
You
come
still don't want to
around.
die.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one
Yeah.
of those things,
Sense.
man. I love it. I love everything about hardcore. When you got to ask yourself, when else would you ever have gotten a high heart rate because servers were acting funky instead of just getting pissed off at Blizzard about it?
Okay, so I have a heart rate monitor on my stream because
Mhm.
I thought it was the coolest thing ever when I saw Gray's run that first, MC, and
That's probably
Gray's
the
heart
only
rate
cool
went up to
thing.
like 130, 140 while he's fighting the bosses. I was like, This is cool. I want a heart rate for Duranasaur's stream because I don't think his ever goes above 85. Like, this dude's cool as the other side of the
It's because
pillow.
it's because everything that happens in a Duran stream is pre-planned, and he knows ahead of time that
It's
people are
perfect.
gonna die.
Dude,
He
he's just
actually
every
pays them.
time. He's like
Yeah.
sitting there, him and Sarth are running people out of Ubers after a totally
Mhm.
scuffed pull. And
Yeah.
they're like, all right, do this. They're dropping traps. They're going here. Duranasaur tells them not to go this one way and come this other way. They get almost everybody out. And then finally, when Duranasaur gets out, he stops and he goes, oh, okay.
Yeah. You can
Okay. It's
tell,
just
like,
like he's cool as the other side of the pillow
there's
until
a
like it's over.
there's a certain echelon, man. I'm telling you, these people that hit 60 on hardcore, and they've put the time in the last 2 years to play a lot of hardcore WoW, and that's something that appeals to them. I'm telling you, man, like there is an echelon of gamers that nobody knew existed until hardcore came around. Like some of these people are just stone cold.
I didn't even
Uh,
know. Yeah, we'll talk about it here in a second because I think it's made me a much better player too, like all across the board. But does anybody want to talk about any of these changes in BWL before we move into discussion?
Um, I mean, it's super. I'm kind of surprised actually. Like when they first said, "Hey, we're opening up the classic era PTR. We have BWL changes. You can go and test it right now." I was surprised because I had almost gotten to a point where I figured, okay, they're not going to buff any of the raid content. They're only going to buff the entry level raids because there was a blue post super early on that said, "Hey, we're going Season of Mastery is like, you know, no world buffs and raids, higher difficulty in the entry level." Like there was this quote, like entry level. So I think what they're doing with BWL, whether like I enjoy the specific changes to the bosses or not, I think it's interesting that they may do this all the way through Nax even now that they're doing it with BWL. And I think
Well,
it's scary because Nax is, I think Nax without world buffs would be plenty difficult on SOM.
yeah.
Um, but
did you have a
I think
zero death
that's
max
I
time?
I think that's one they should just really like probably chill out on.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know
even
if we ever had a zero death max.
My guild had, like, we didn't require world buffs in classic. And then one time we convinced my GM to actually say no world buffs this week just for fun, right? And we went into Nax and we only had 2 deaths.
Oh.
I think it's definitely doable. I think a lot of people use world buffs as a crutch for playing poorly.
Yeah.
well, and it
Especially back in the day, right? They would say, you know, full Zug, forget the mechanics. Let's just pump through this
Yeah,
mechanic.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
And if you have a guild that's heavy in mechanics and you can actually handle it, and I think a lot of the hardcore players could, I do think it's possible. So especially with how much consumables we can have with no debuff limit and like all these different things that we can do, I think it's doable.
well
I
like
actually,
the big thing is like we oftentimes as Vargflocken would lose our world buffs and we're fine. It's the entry into Nax. Like Nax, you're really supposed to go for a few weeks gathering up your frost gear and all of that, but world buffs allowed the top guilds to like push through. But even Salve Dally came on a like 2 weeks, I think, after Nax released and talked about them, wiping on the second boss. Why am I forgetting his name? The second to last boss.
Four
Saffron.
horse.
Yeah,
Well, I thought they wiped on
without
four horsemen.
yeah, but with it, they were talking about like
Oh,
like
doing Saffron with no world buff.
yeah, and how they wiped on it, how it was really hard, and so like I think world buffs just facilitated people getting further in Nax like before they were really supposed to by design. But I do think that like this is really cool. It's especially cool that they're doing it with how little rating is going on in Season of Mastery because
Oh
just
yeah.
to let
I think
everybody know there's about 10,000 people doing it that have logged through Warcraft logs, whereas there's about, there's over 300,000 doing it in TBC. And it's
Yep.
cool that they're sticking to it, But I do think I'm kind of like, do you really need to buff AQ and Nax after that? I don't really know that that needs to be
Yeah.
They have to
buffed.
buff AQ. I think
Think?
Nax, like, I don't know, I could see some changes to a couple of bosses in Nax. I could see, like, a couple like, it feels like a ramping thing where BWL could use a couple changes. Molten Core, I think we all knew needed a lot to make it any kind of difficult. AQ, there's a couple bosses that are, like, tough, like Sartura,
Yeah.
it'd be hard to go through without anybody dying. Like, there's bosses like that that can be tough. But, like, I don't know, like, there are a lot of very easy bosses in AQ that I think could use an improvement, and Nax is the same way. Like, Nax is hard overall. I think trash death without world buffs is more likely than boss death, except for like
Yeah,
a
dude.
couple of the really
Mhm.
hard bosses. But for the most part, like a Noober Khan, like you don't need world buffs to do a
Spiderwing
Noober Khan.
trash.
Um,
Spiderwing trash still to this
yeah,
day
Yeah.
like,
gives
I
me
totally agree.
nightmares.
I totally agree about the playing worse thing, and I think that when you have world buffs, you play worse almost on purpose. Like you're almost like you don't even
You're
care as much
incentivized to.
anymore. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you're being more reckless, you're doing more DPS. But like we had times where we got through trash faster without world buffs just because people were being more careful and paying more attention and doing the right stuff right away. They're not letting mobs go crazy. Like there were times where not having world buffs, we were just as quick.
Well, and that was
Yeah.
after we had purged the people that stop trying when they lose their world buffs.
Purge them. Yeah.
Yeah.
By fire.
But yeah, I think I am like there's a part of me, if I had more time, I think that I would level an immortal character, a non-hardcore player, because and we'll get to talking about like hardcore rating and where that's gonna go. But I would be interested in trying out if they did buff AQ40 and X. I think that that would be a very unique
On a
thing to be able to,
non-hardcore.
yeah, like actually be able to try out like what is a buffed AQ40 and a buff Nax with no world buffs feel like? Is it doable? Like, does it require like weekly progression, that type of thing? So I have this thought in the back of my head that man, at some point I do need to level
You
in
have
like
like
a normal character.
you have your thought. I mean, at any time you could convert one of your hardcore 60s to that, like that's
True.
all,
Yeah.
you can hang up your hardcore hat as long as you haven't died and do that. Like
I
Yeah.
I
think
think that's
I
allowed.
think Duran and I are along the lines of like if you have a character that's hardcore, it's gonna be hardcore till the day it dies, and if it dies, you delete it. I don't think there's
Yeah.
any way around it. Like otherwise, and there's different opinions that float around the community of hardcore players. I wouldn't even save mine to like fight griefers. I would delete it immediately. It's just part of
Yeah.
what you sign up for.
Well, there was a big discussion in Bravo the other day where
Oh, the old Bravo boys.
people were trying
I
to
love Bravo.
tell somebody, hey, you have a choice at level 60. You could go on, like, be the immortal character because that was the original challenge, or you could join hardcore elite and continue to be, a hardcore player through endgame content. And so that was like, that was what, kind of sparked
Oh yeah.
that thought. But
Oh, you're right. You're right. I think that even now, it would be accepted by the
Mhm.
community. I think that when Winky's talking specifically about him and I and like a subsection of the community, that I would feel weird about playing one of my hardcore characters softcore or
Yep.
non-hardcore, whatever you
I
want to
mean,
call it.
soft core
I have
threesome, right?
yeah, right. I have my hardcore characters that I hit 60 on from 2 years ago, and,
Yeah.
I would rather not even log into them than log in and, like, level them and go into do TBC stuff with them, right?
Yeah.
Just
I
because they're
have
like
multiple, yeah.
yeah, they're kinda like trophies. Like, once you get to 60, you look at it, you're like, "Damn, I did that. That's my character. Like, this is my proof that
Yeah.
Yeah,
have
that was
accomplished
some it
this," you
was
know?
something I brought up to Duranasaur, I don't know, a couple weeks back that my chat suggested. Shout out to Cappy, but he was like, any hardcore elite character that dies should be allowed to stay alive, join one guild, and have one sole purpose: kill Teramis every time he's up, or kill griefers.
So
Like,
there
and
is a
that's it.
subset of
That
hardcore
that is a
cities that
thing.
is a thing already. They already
Yeah.
exist, and you don't probably know about it because they operate under the radar.
Under the
Yeah.
shadows.
Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah.
they are protecting against griefers behind the scenes.
Yep. So it is
Hardcore's
a
has like
thing.
a
Yeah.
secret Discord for it and everything.
Okay, so just to end it out, Duranasaur, you kind of want like the vanilla mythic raiding experience, is what you're kind of saying.
I'd like to. Yeah, I'd like to try it. Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be a ton of fun. I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna be upset. I guess is what I would say if I miss out on this like buffed AQ40 and buffed Nax. As someone who's been playing Vanilla WoW forever and who loves this game, I would feel some remorse. I guess
I th-
if they go through this season and then next season they don't have the buffed raids and it's just like, oh, that was a one-off thing and I missed
Yeah.
it.
yeah, I've been saying that like it's not gonna feel good for people like me. I want to go back. It just came out too soon. It would suck if they revert these changes and go back to easy vanilla after this
I don't know
because
if they ever can.
yeah, because
Like,
like, well, I want to
I
go back and try
yeah.
it. Like, well, what are we gonna do next season? Or
Yeah.
maybe they'll bring World Boss back, but leave the changes in at least or something. Because like, it is bizarre to make it way more interesting, and then you can't. What are you gonna
Yeah.
get rid of it for the season of
Yeah.
like PvP?
I've heard of an interesting thought that was just like just be able have like the raid leader or party leader be able to toggle on like hard mode basically. So
And
anyone
see,
in future seasons that wants to do the harder raids, they can just toggle it on and you can go do it. And you may even throw in some incentives like, okay, if you do that, each boss drops one more piece of loot
I
or something.
That'd
like
be
that. What I
super
don't
juicy.
want is what happened in retail, where you get better gear
Yeah.
for doing the harder mode. I want the harder modes to always be a feather in your cap and not actually a barrier of entry for
Yeah.
better
They
gear.
stopped doing that pretty quickly in
If anything,
retail.
maybe you get
Did they?
cosmetics
Oh,
like
okay.
a
I didn't even
title.
know that.
If anything, just give them cosmetics or a title or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean
like a
that
mount
that
or
would be
something. Yeah.
ideal.
I think
Yeah.
the title system is like one of the most incentivizing systems I've ever seen a video game utilize, and it's really sad that they never brought that into Season of Mastery. You
Yeah.
kind of get a title with the hardcore buff with the Survivor of the Fire Lord.
Yeah. I'm kind of bummed I don't have
I
a
wish
Survivor of the Fire Lord title.
me too, but it would be nice to be able to actually toggle that on your character, and then
Yeah.
even right like
And have
just
it in seasons later. Like,
yeah, like carry it with you to
yeah, I
TBC
would
Season of
really like
Mastery or whatever they're doing.
the season of mastery. I would really like to have an achievement system that would show you got this achievement in this season. Like, I would love to have that, and it persists through all characters. And I don't really want to give you a benefit like any gear or
Yeah.
anything like, but
Mhm.
want just that prestige. I think is the coolest part about it, and that's what I would like to see if they're going to do any of those types of stuff. I don't want to see in-game buffs for doing it.
Yeah, I think the core of World of Warcraft, World of Warcraft at its core is a game about bragging rights. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been ever since Vanilla WoW. If you ask people what they remember the most is like, oh, I remember the tank on my server that was in the best guild, standing on the steps of the Bank of Ironforge with his Thunder Fury in one hand and like this raid gear that I never got to see the bosses for.
I remember
Right? Like,
Turbo.
yeah, you and people, yeah, they remember by name, dude.
Yeah,
And it's like,
PvP. It was when you PvP'd on the same server, and this Tauren warrior would just destroy my rogue every day,
yeah,
and I
and it's
hated
like
him.
I don't know why Blizzard never just leaned into that and like said like, yo, people like this prestige kind of glory, right? And like how can we incentivize more people to do
I would
harder
say the
things?
the next iteration of this is Missa Pandaria is when challenge dungeons came out, when they started giving cosmetic rewards if you could do a heroic dungeon in like X amount of time, and they were rewarding speedrunners with cosmetic like sets that if you could do
Mhm.
like all the heroics, get like they're that I really liked. It was kind of like maybe like the precursor to Mythic Keys or something in retail, but I did like that. I mean, that is the most important thing. Achievements kind of revolutionize WoW. Where people are like, I'm gonna get every pet. I'm gonna have this special pet because I have all this pet. I'm gonna have the salty like title. Like all that stuff really does amp up the other side of WoW, which is okay. Well, right now the only way to brag is raid, and everyone's raid logging because that's all there really is. But
Yeah.
Mhm.
mount collecting, like stuff like that, picks up in Wrath to me because now you get a special mount if you have enough of the other mounts. Now you get a title if you've done X or Y, and it does really amp up what people are willing to do.
I
Yeah.
hope it picks up in Wrath and ends in Wrath, and they never release Mist ever or Kata. Get rid of it. End Classic WoW
I
in
am
Wrath.
fine with
Have
that.
a
I feel like it was a good ending.
Yeah. Have a constant revolving door of Classic WoW TBC into Wrath, reset back to Classic WoW. Just leave it forever. Give them rotating freshes. Give us hardcore mode in all 3 iterations of the game, and just end it. Like,
All right.
I would stay subbed until the day I died if they just, here's a hardcore server, here's TBC, Classic WoW, and Wrath on a never-ending loop with freshes every year.
I like that. But before we go too far, we need to get into discussion. Duranasaur's been waiting for this. This week's discussion is the journey that was the road to Rag and the future of hardcore elite on the Obsidian Edge server. I'm gonna kind of leave it to you and Winky to kind of go at the pace you want to talk about. I might ask a question. Yip might ask a question. We might jump in, but I kind of want to just give you the floor for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for one for just letting us come on and talk about this because this is something that I think has been in the works probably longer than you could even say like it was officially announced or anything like that. Like people have been talking about doing in-game content in with hardcore characters on hardcore characters for probably, over a year. And so the Road to Rag challenge, we started setting out, we announced it before we even knew what season mastery was going to be. We didn't know they were going to make changes to raids. We didn't know when it was even going to come out. We just had this feeling that they're going to release fresh vanilla. When they do that, the hardcore community is going to start fresh there, and we're going to try to full clear molten core. And from that, we learned about season mastery. We learned that they were going to buff the raids, and a ton of us thought, okay, it's over. We're never going to get this done. There's no way we can clear a molten core with new mechanics on hardcore characters without world buffs. But over time, we had people test out the raid on the beta. We had, leaders in the community say, you know what, this is still something we think we can do. And we had just an insane amount of support from players in the hardcore community and the classic WoW community as a whole. And before I get any further, I want to thank everyone that was involved because we did it, right? We full cleared Molten Core on a raid full of one life characters. And we wouldn't have been able to do that if not for the people that were in the raid, but also, and more importantly, all the people outside the raid.
That
So there were,
farmed everything for you
oh
guys
man,
and
yeah,
basically gave all of their, BOE epics they'd collected along the way. That you could trade those at 60, right? I mean, it was
yeah.
a huge movement by so many people. Sorry.
It was oh, absolutely. It was even more than that, I would say, because yeah, you have all the people that weren't in the raid that farmed all of the consumables and that donated like BOEs and gear and who like did dungeons with people who were then later in the raid. But outside of that, I would say like if you're someone who, you heard about hardcore, you jumped in and you just played hardcore and leveled and you were part of the leveling guilds, you were a presence in the community that helped push us towards this goal because the
So
more
you're
people
saying
that
even
jumped
I
in,
did something
oh,
with being
absolutely.
in the
Even Yip,
shadow zone?
even
Even
Yip
Yip,
did something with
even
his
Yip.
attempts in hardcore because every single person that brought, any sort of presence to it and that enjoyed it and that talked about it, like without that, like we would never be where we are today. We would never have cleared molten core because that's where the community started. It started as this, small group of people just trying this challenge, and it's grown to what it is today.
Well, and
And
just to point out Yip too, he played hardcore, but you know, he watched every run you guys did and was
Oh yeah,
hyped
yeah.
about it, was
I mean,
sending me
its hype is
messages about it.
it's if I had more time, I would have loved to be a part of it. It's absolutely incredible, and it was exciting to watch. And honestly, I'll throw this out there. Although I was 100% accurate on my prediction of what would happen on on Rag, I really did not think you guys
You
would do it.
were. We
Up
forgot
until
to mention that Yip was the only one with an accurate. We did like 3
I said
different
2 deaths on Rag.
predictions, and the
Wow.
rag,
Yep.
he guessed 2 deaths. He was the only
I
one
was so excited. I felt
that
bad because I was
was
actually excited for the
accurate.
second death. I was like, "Oh, a death!" And I was like, "Okay, one more. let's get
Yeah.
let's get one more in
That's
here."
like, I love that. That's great.
Well, like
Um,
even as so far as to say, like, if you were playing hardcore and you still currently might be, and somebody died and you put an oh shit F buddy, dude, I'm sorry, man. We go again. If you type that in the guild chat, right? And then that person goes again and they make it to 60 and they contribute to the raid. You have
yeah,
contributed to us killing Rag. Like it's that simple, right? It's like
it was. Yeah, it
anyone, like
was.
if
I
you're in a
feel
TBC
bad every
guild
time
and you
someone
tell your guildies to
dies.
come play hardcore,
Every time
Yeah,
someone
you've
dies, I feel
contributed.
bad putting an F in the chat, but I feel like it it builds like it's neat that everybody takes the time to put that F into chat. Like so it's a weird like
It's like a family,
yeah,
dude.
yeah, it's
yeah,
a weird thing, but like it is like it does contribute to like pushing a lot of people to do it again.
yeah. And I think it's. I mean, we don't really talk about. I think most people, when they hear about the hardcore community, they talk about like it's a one life thing. But we're also, I mean, 1 to 60, it's solo self-found, right? You're not none of the
Or
people
duo.
who made it to 60 or do yeah, so you can do the duo or trio where you can, like, trade with your one partner, but the whole thing is, like, it's so much more than just the Soul of Iron buff for us, right? There's no auction house, there's no mailbox. Um, your professions as you level are just like they're super important because they might be the difference between living and dying, and you have to level them all either yourself or with your duo or trio partners.
And you could only
um
run each dungeon once, which makes it hard
yeah,
for gear. Like you'll get lucky on some characters and really unlucky on others, I've
Well,
found.
that's one of the
yeah,
best parts of hardcore, in my opinion, is it the one dungeon run adds the RNG aspect of like, oh, this run on this rogue is going, I got a cruel barb,
yep,
versus like the last run I did where I died at level 38, I didn't get a cruel barb, and
It it
Well,
you've got the
that might be the
same.
difference.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's the
and
same run though, right? It's
it
the
makes the
same
death
exact
more like a
thing.
roguelike where you're like, "This run's starting off better. This
yeah,
run"
and
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
or
a
how many bags
warrior
you find
and
in the starting zone, right?
yeah,
Like
you're
things like
a
that are
warrior and get the swiftness potion drop. Like that's huge.
yeah,
exactly.
Or
Yeah, and it creates like this world that doesn't matter how many times you go again on the same class, it's always going to be different.
something
Um,
you should never sleep on in hardcore. Like forget whatever like if you don't want to do professions, like just do leatherworking and another gathering and just sell that stuff, but don't sleep on fishing. Half of the gear that's on my character now is from fishing pools. Like the pools drop those trunks, and you wouldn't believe how many greens come out of those. Like it's
yeah.
unreal.
It's yeah, the it's such a fun and unique challenge, just the 1 to 60 aspect of it. And for us to take what we did, and I think Wiki may know the numbers better than me, but I think if you take from when like the first people started playing hardcore till like the end of classic vanilla, there was, I want to say, like around 200 verified runs, 1 to 60.
mhm, something
And
around there, yeah,
we
200.
yeah, and so we now have in hardcore elite right now this day, I feel like there's over 400 verified level 60 players, and we've probably had close to 100 die.
Yeah, and
So
that's in 3 months.
in a
Like,
much shorter time frame, we've had this insane amount of like talent, I would say, come and play hardcore because it's and the talent, when I talk about talent, I mean such a wide spectrum, right? There's a lot of people who they watch hardcore death clips or they see these random snippets and they think, oh, that player's awful, how did they make it to 60? And it's because hardcore isn't just about, what's your APM, like how well are your keybinds, how well are you optimizing your GCDs. It's, do you know the game? Do you know what quests are safe and which quests are dangerous? Do you know how like mob pathing works?
Speaking
Do
of
you
which,
know?
chat can really help you on which quests are safe and not. Like,
Streaming
Oh
is an
yeah.
inherent advantage to hardcore, I swear to God.
Oh, it
Like
is for sure.
the fact that Twitch chat can tell me like there's an elite giant that pats on this path
Yeah.
every 15 minutes. I'm like, what? I didn't know that.
yep, they're like, watch
Yeah.
out for this. You're like, what?
Hmm.
It's such a fun and unique experience, and I'm so glad that it came together the way that it did. And I personally think that we did this challenge faster than we probably should have. Because from before Season Master even came out, I was saying, if this comes out, that November 16th, whenever it is, we probably won't even step foot in Molten Core till January, and we won't kill Rag till February. And here we are, we killed Rag, what, 2 weeks ago? And it's like, and
And
there are
it's
people
just the
out there.
beginning, baby.
It is just the beginning, and yet there were people out there saying, "Oh, it took you guys too long," or whatever. And it's like, man, we put in so much time and effort because our goal was not to kill Rag with like the slimmest margin of like victory. It was to have these people who've played these characters for 10, 11, 12, 13, 16, 17 days played on this character. We wanted to keep them all alive. We wanted to execute every boss as optimally as we could. And we
Like
wanted to,
real life.
yeah,
Like, you don't
like,
want your guildies to die in real life. You
yeah,
don't want that to happen. You want them
exactly.
to, like,
True.
you're not ever going into a fight with your guild and thinking, oh, it's okay if Dwarf Winky dies over here. Like, it's cool. Like, like, you don't want to sacrifice. Like, I mean, your end goal probably would have been the best run, would have been a no death run, which
Yeah.
no one has done in Season of Mastery. So, everyone's had someone die on Rag. So, but that would have been the best thing to happen. Whereas a lot of the trolls, I think, wanted, oh, I want to see people die, like, because
Yeah.
that's what they want.
Which to be fair, every
Would have
time
been
that came
entertaining,
up,
definitely.
I'll admit it. I'll be one of the first people to admit, if we had a bunch of people die, like if we had like a full wipe, or like just like a few people die throughout, I would have been more excited about it. Like I would have gotten a kick out of it as a player that was there that like may have been the one that died. Like hardcore players, I think, are some of the biggest doomers in the hardcore community. We love death. Like we feed off of it.
Yo, Bob, I hate to derail it right now, but you need a Twitter account or something that's like Blazing Bob without context because you don't want your guildies to die in real
Yeah.
life. It's probably one of the best things I've ever heard somebody say.
You don't
I mean,
want your
it
guilties to
is,
die
but
in real life.
it is
Yeah,
true. Like,
and he's
no
so
death
serious when he says
is,
it.
yeah, no death is acceptable. Like, if we were living in this world of Warcraft, we would not ever, I'd never be okay with Yip dying on changing
Yeah.
to cat,
Yeah.
dying on a pole. I'd be so upset, like,
Hmm.
so it's kind of interesting, it's just kind of a thought I
Yeah.
had.
Oh, it's
Well, at
yeah.
least
I
I
mean, and I'm
came
glad you
attuned,
think it
Bob. I know
too.
you're not Mel, but
But
You
yeah,
just don't want your guildies to die IRL, guys.
we don't want people to die. And that continues on right now. I know that a big thing that I've been trying to get out there has been that hardcore elite, and I will
Well,
also
here,
extend
hold
this
on,
and
hold on,
say,
hold on. If you're
yeah,
going to talk about the future, before we get to that, I want you to kind of like give us, because I haven't really heard this. So it was kind of a surprise. Like, this was like, there were more clears of like half clears on the docket. I want you to give us the story of because I believe it's due to player deaths and dungeons and stuff like that, and just like the fact that the Molten Core gear isn't huge for a lot of people with the DM gear out. But what made you guys jump to, oh, we're clearing Rag next week? Like,
yeah,
what pushed that? Let's do that before we go to the future.
yeah. Yeah, it was we had a meeting. Winky was there at the meeting as well. And I was probably doing way more listening than talking. And I think we had done our second 4 out of 10 clear. So we and that 4 out of 10 clear, I think, was supposed to be like, okay, we're gonna do this a second time, and then next week we'll do, 6 or 7, maybe 8 bosses. And then after that, we might make this push for Ragnaros. And we were having this discussion and talking about like future raid progression. And during that discussion, we talked about how the risks associated with some of these upcoming bosses, with Baron Geddon and with Shazra in particular, they might be so risky that to plan to have to do them twice before we kill Rag
Because
might
of
be,
consumes? Is that why?
well, just in general, because of deaths, right? Like if we put ourselves in a position where we have to execute like perfectly on these bosses multiple times before we ever even get to Rag, we might just like that could be the difference between a full wipe and us like delaying this entire thing for a month or more, or us like just like pushing on and getting Rag down. So that was a
And
big part of it.
you're talking
Yeah.
about deaths not in the raid, but in 5-man dungeons and
No,
in
in raid
Ubers, right?
2.
In raid, in
Okay,
raid,
in
doing
raid, in
yeah.
Doing
raid.
Shazra
Like
twice.
imagine doing Shazra twice and having to execute it perfectly.
And
Yeah.
all those arcane pots too, like
Yeah.
Yeah. And consumables, that's, you brought that up. That was also a big part of it, was because I think we ended up doing, we took a full week of raiding off. We went in and
Mhm.
we did a trash farm on a Saturday, and we had kind of said, like, I think it was 2 days before that Saturday. So it was like a Thursday. We had an announcement and we said, hey, we are not actually going to push any boss progression this week. We're going to do a trash farm, but with minimal consumes. And the following Saturday, we're pushing 10 out of 10. And
yeah, that literally
what
we
could
Well,
got
there was
a
also
tweet during the show when that came out, and I think you guys
yeah.
were in the middle of Fs too when that came out.
Yeah, we were, and there was because I had to leave that meeting because I had to start Fs, right?
Mhm.
I was right, and there was another elephant in the room, and it was player morale.
Yeah.
Um, People had just it was right after Christmas and New Year's, and people had taken about a week off, 2 weeks off, and we saw that some of them weren't returning, and we were like, "Yo, player numbers are dropping right now. We're actually losing more 60s than we're gaining each week."
Oh, which is
Yeah.
another thing
And
I'm gonna have to bring up here in a second if
yeah,
you guys don't bring it up.
Yeah.
so we just said, "Hey, you know what? We've got these people that are online daily, and we've got to make do with what we have, and like we need to get this out. We need to get this done and over with now, or else we
Yeah.
risk losing another 5-10 core raiders to burnout."
So,
Yeah.
and
So
is that why there was a handful of people I heard that did not show up that were
There were
scheduled for certain bosses?
there were
yeah.
5 people on the roster that no showed.
Wow.
Yeah. And these are people who, I mean, they signed up,
Mhm.
less than a week ahead of our 10 out of 10 run, and they knew this was the run to be a part of.
Yep.
And
And I think
some of them no showed.
I like to say, in my fantasy world of my brain, I like to think they got scared of losing their character and they decided to not show up.
Yeah,
Um,
maybe.
the typical like cold feet before the day before you D-Day, where
Yeah.
you run away from you like what's that word when you
Ooh,
run from the military?
I mean, it's kind of like what you did,
Hey, wall.
Winky.
Yeah, they go AWOL and they just bounce.
It's kind of like what you did, though. You kind of just went to the table.
Well, I
I'm
was
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
presented.
kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I can explain it though. I was presented with in my opinion, casting that with cargoes was just as much of a once in a lifetime opportunity
Hell
than being
yeah, it
in the raid.
was.
Yeah.
So I was presented with, "Hey, do you want to come cast this and be on the desk?" And then Ompi approached me with, "Hey, do you want to be in the raid?" And then I tried making both happen. I was like, "Yeah, I'll come in for 2 bosses, and I'll leave the casting desk and I'll come back to the casting desk before Rag." And then Ompi was, but I told Ompi, I was like, "Look, there's better warlocks that are in this guild, and like you just gotta sit right. Like if when it comes down to it, you got to put your ego to the side and be like, look, I will gladly concede to, what is it, Nira, or is it Nira or Naira, the pro Hearthstone player?
Niera, yeah. Yeah.
Dude's a Chad Warlock player and, like really good at the game. And I was like, you know what? I will gladly sit for a better Warlock and still, uh,
be
And
able to participate.
be able
Yeah.
to participate via the casting desk, which is what I prefer anyway. I love talk shows like this and
exactly.
FC
And
chat and casting desks. And
would the casting desk been good with them in your place? Probably
I don't
not.
know.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
maybe
yeah,
not.
we don't know, but
Yeah.
like most likely, a lot of these really good players, aren't like. And that's another thing you can bring up. A lot of really good players showed up in this whole journey that aren't streamers, that aren't people
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
want to
Tell
put
that to
their
Reddit.
face in front of everybody. Like they're just really
Yeah.
good players.
Tell that to the
Yeah.
comments section. It's like, as a streamer, only raid power gum selling. If you don't sell power gum, you don't get invited to the raid.
Yeah.
Yeah, come on,
So
guys.
yeah,
It's just
I
it's
think
just not true.
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, you could ramble off the list of reasons that we decided to jump from 4 out of 10 to 10 out of 10, and it's player attrition, both people being burnt out and not logging in, people dying in dungeons and stuff, like actual people dying, people that were supposed to craft fire resist gear, things like that. We were just like, we
Yeah,
can't.
that was a big one. We talked about
Yeah.
and he had all the bars on him when he died
Yeah,
too.
one of them is in
Well,
chat
that
right
was a
now,
that was a
Riley.
second person. Like we
Oh,
Yeah.
had we
We had
had we
Riley
had
die.
we had Riley die, and he was able to craft all the Thorian Brotherhood like resistance gear, and then we had Siki die, who had some crate like 200 plus dark iron bars on him. Like,
And
and
Iron
at a
Foe.
certain point, and Iron Foe, at a certain point, it was okay. People are dying. People are burning out. People we need consumables, right? Like we have to take a full week off basically and prep and get the consumables for this.
Yeah.
And there's just like there was this outside pressure too that we don't really talk about. I don't know how many people have talked about it, but I felt it a lot because I was streaming it a bunch. Like people coming in every day and asking like, "When are you guys going to do it? When are you guys going to do it?" And when you say like, "Well, we're on this progression path," they're like, "Well, it's getting boring and dumb that it's taking you guys this long." So there's a number of reasons that we push to do it. I think a lot of them are super valid, right? Like us also wanting to mitigate the risk of trying to do a lot of those bosses multiple times. Um, and just the player attrition and dying, like people dying, man. It was just
Dying.
like
well, and
every
I mean,
time someone died, it was like, God, that's like that
It
person's
was
not going to be
terrible.
back in time, right? That's just
after
a loss.
after watching the last F's and chat with Winky and Cargos, I just wonder how many years this Road to Rag contest took off of Cargos's life, and how many more weeks you would have went, how many more years would have been taken off as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that was a hidden factor that no one really thinks about is it's easy for Joe Schmo from their mom's basement to get on Reddit or YouTube and leave a comment like, "Oh, they death appeal. It doesn't count." Oh, there's 4 people of the 54 raiders without the Soul of Iron buff because they DC'd when Blizzard DDoSed their own servers, right? It's easy to say those things, but what they don't understand is that behind the computer screen, there are leaders of this community that are, Cargos, Graze for Days, even Stay Safe, Duranasaur, me, Jordy, Elenia, like all the mods of the community, we're shouldering a lot of the blame, and it's hard to not take it personal.
Well, and
Um,
Cargos
it's
is
hard.
yeah, Cargos is such a nice guy. I remember the the day before, or the couple days, maybe a day before, when the Obsidian Edge server was announced, and I'm looking at the chat in Discord, and these trolls are just trolling. And
Yeah.
Cargos is being nice enough to
Yeah,
answer every one of them, ask for suggestions, and I'm just sitting there going, "Just shut up!" Like, dude,
yeah,
like, and from the
if you're
start to the
Cargos
end,
though,
Cargos just got. I mean, he got the rough end of the stick, and it's a bummer
yeah.
because he's such a nice guy.
If your car goes right now and during the road to rag and during the planning phase, it's actually lose, 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 lose. You do not win a single battle when it comes to road to rag or any event. Anyone in Cargos' position would have dealt with the same thing. He had people hating on him for wanting to do Road to Rag to begin with, right? Then he had people hating on him about the rule set. Then he had people hating on him for choosing to not participate in the raid because his character was the guild bank. And it's like, yo, he stepped down from a raid roster position, which he well deserved. He created hardcore WoW, right? And he stepped down to be the guild bank, to hold flasks and Black Lotus and be the cornerstone of what the raid team needs to succeed. We can't have people dying with lotuses in their bags, right? So he shouldered that whole responsibility, and in the meantime, instead of making another hardcore hunter, he made a multi-life regular normal WoW hunter and went and killed the griefers 24/7. He was online 20 hours a day farming griefers behind the scenes. No one knew it was him. He was just a random hunter named Weeb Slayer X, and he ran around killing griefers, right?
Yeah.
And then he still got shit from all of his, like half of his community gave him shit for not being in the raid. And
Yeah.
it's like you can't win if you're in that position. And I feel bad for
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
And big shout outs to Cargos for all the work he put in. And there's a lot of people too that,
Oh,
Oh
man.
yeah,
they-
you all have done a ton
they
of
back
work.
him and they support him.
I mean, yeah. Ompy needs a ton of
Yeah.
shout out, a ton of credit for what we did. Ompy probably, and I'll say this is like I was one of like 3 people that were officers in a hardcore elite. It was like Ompy, Cargos, and me. And Cargos was doing all this other behind the scenes stuff. And Ompy and I were basically like, I was trying to manage like guild invites. I was trying to make sure that like the people that were hitting 60 were like they were legit and they were getting verified and they were getting into the guild the right way. And Ompy and I feel bad because I like offered Ompy help whenever I could. But I think that he saw this as like I need to do everything to
Mhm.
make sure it gets done correctly. So he
And
did,
we needed him to do everything.
and it kind of had to happen that way because, and I've said this a few times, the way that Hardcore Elite worked was nowhere near a normal guild because it was everyone on Obsidian Edge Alliance that completed the Hardcore Challenge and verified their run was invited to that guild. It was
And
it was like trying to
just to let everybody know, the way to verify your run was with the hardcore app. It's on Curse and everything else.
yeah. Yeah, so you would run the add-on during your 1 to 60 run. As long as you followed the hardcore rules, you just copy like the add-on creates like a string of code. You copy that, you paste it into a link on the website.
Kind of like a weak aura, right?
Yeah, same exact thing. And then boom, you're good to go. You show up on the leaderboard, and then you can get into the Hardcore Elite Guild. That Hardcore Elite Guild ended up feeling like it was like trying to manage like a raid roster, but no one's actually in a guild. You're just doing it out of like world chat. If you can imagine doing that on like a classic vanilla server. Like everyone is different. Everyone has different goals and expectations. Like the way that people like trade with one another and value items is all different. Personalities are different, expectations are different. So it did not function like a guild. It functioned like an open community.
It was kind of
But
like, okay, so in Burning Legion, I think it was Olympus, maybe was the name of like, but the Burning Legion server in vanilla, like the one that like cleared Molten Core, like second on the server, like that was one that had 340 people in it, and like 200 people were online at all time. Like it kind of feels like it might have been similar to like
yeah,
the early vanilla powerhouse guilds.
yes, I think it was. I think the difference there is that like sometimes people would get to 60 and they're like, I'm gonna be in that Molten Core raid and I'm gonna do everything it
Yeah.
takes to get there. And sometimes people would get to 60 and they'd be like, well, I completed the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll just sort of
Yeah.
I'll like never log in again, right?
Now,
And
now
so you have
imagine
this.
though.
Well, and there was there was really good people that didn't make it into the raid. Like, for instance, Nom Nom. Like, he's one that,
Yeah.
like, there was just
Yep.
crazy pumper rogues already in the guild, are already in the runs. So
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah,
ton of
the
people that got
rogue.
left out like that.
There were a few positions like Rogue was one of them that was incredibly competitive.
Yeah.
Like if you were not full Prebis with Librams, you had to grind Argent Dawn rep to get your enchants. Like if you weren't the Bis of Bis, you were not getting into that raid.
Well, and
Full 0.5 set, like
after hitting 40 on the rogue, I'm kind of understanding why. Like I've run into so many things. There's so many elite quests I thought I was gonna have to skip, but after 40, I'm like, oh, no problem. Okay, cool. Like,
yeah, rogues are really fun, by the way. They're my
yeah,
favorite
they
class
get
to play in
really
hardcore.
good.
You have so many buttons to press. That's why I'm playing a rogue in our threesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So
you can
it
vanish, so you don't ever have to worry about dying in a dungeon. You just leave your team
And
for dead.
if you do prep,
yeah,
you
Yeah.
there
can vanish twice,
Mhm.
sprint twice, blind twice. I mean,
Yep.
it's nutso.
To be three
oh,
of
yeah.
you clearing a dungeon and you're vanishing on pole, like, all
Yeah,
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
except
but
that
if they
it's a
delete
trio.
yeah, you
So
die
yeah.
anyway.
if any of us die, he has to delete.
Yeah, but the thing
That
is
makes it
that
funnier.
Vanish is still a really good utility for a rogue, even
Oh,
in
for
a
sure.
trio, because I can
Yeah.
drop threat with it. I can
Yeah,
temp
you can
it
just
back
pump,
onto
pump,
the
pump, pump,
tank,
pump,
you know?
vanish.
Mhm.
And yeah, you learn how to use feint again, where you'd forgot that move existed.
I'm still gonna not train Feint. I'm probably just gonna blind an enemy and pump something down.
Dude, I've had to
Yeah.
feint
Like,
every dungeon because I'm usually like one level away from cap, and like I have to feint on cooldown. Sorry, but it
Duranasaur
didn't mean to
Duran will keep good threat,
Oh,
derail.
you're
I
good.
believe.
No, you're good. It was a very interesting way to run a guild in a community, and so Ompy kind of had to do what he did, which was everything. Like
Mhm.
he had support in different areas. We had Oracle, who is he's like a top like 50 mythic raider in retail, and he saw what was happening with Season of Mastery with these like boss changes, and he said, "Oh, I want to come help you guys, and I want to theory craft the most efficient way to kill every boss in MC." so
God,
that you guys
Oracle's a
take
god.
so you guys take the least amount of damage and you have the least likelihood of death. So he deep dove into every single boss kill on Warcraft logs, and he found the safest way for us to kill every boss.
Yeah,
I
Oracle, we
didn't.
could not have done this without Oracle, with
Yeah,
as little deaths as we did.
yeah,
Like, Oracle was daily comparing, like, 100 different Magmadar kills and saying
yeah.
like, okay, across all these kills, here's what the average outgoing DPS is. Here's where you should position your characters for like most efficiency of like healing per damage done, and here's where the ads are typically spawning when they come out. Like, dude, it's crazy the amount of
And
like knowledge he dropped.
I don't think to this day he's actually hit 60
He
and
died
joined
at
Hardcore League.
58.
Oh, he died. Yeah, that's
He
right.
died at 58. We watched it on Epson chat in the Western Plaguelands graveyard, or no,
Yeah,
the Cauldron Fields.
yeah. And
Dude, those are
so
dangerous.
So
Mhm.
he's one of those people that, again, like, wasn't ever in Hardcore Elite, but contributed so much to what we did that, like, we might not have been able to do it without him. Like, he's
Well,
just one example,
when we
you
first
know?
talked about you guys going into rag early and just like sending it, it was something I brought up. Is like, well, with logs and looking at other fights, you can predict a lot of these. You don't necessarily need like an attempt to know what the
Yeah.
warrior tank needs to wear and how much damage they'll take and how many healers they might need, because you have access to some additional information that if you look at that, that's a way safer method than going and
Yeah.
Mhm.
let's see if this works.
And that's what Oracle's job was
Yeah.
to predict the
All of those
in
things, yeah.
all of those things at once.
Well, even then,
And
though, yeah, I think for us to go in and still, because like, we didn't PTR at
Yeah.
all. And I think that is an important thing that, people ask me that all the time. They're like, "Oh, so how much PTRing did you guys do?" None whatsoever. So the first time we did Shazra, and we had to, as like a group, understand that like we basically have to stay on like a pixel perfect range stack, and every time a blink goes out, we all have to move the right distance in the right direction, stack again, and then wait for another blink, stop DPS before it goes out, and then like once it goes out, again, move in the right way in Shazra. And we have to do this right the first time, or people will die, or worse, will wipe. Like, it was a lot of pressure. And we probably wouldn't have had as good of strategies had we not had people like Oracle and Ompi. Um,
Well, and
and
Oppie
that,
was. Oh, sorry. Go.
oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Oppie, like it was a really neat thing watching him explain each fight because it really did take me back to original vanilla when that was literally what happened before every fight. Like, whereas like now we're all speed, 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 speed. But like it was literally what happened every fight. Like there was so much conversation going and well, not conversation, but like so much leading. And like I
Yeah.
really enjoyed listening to it. And yeah, he's pretty incredible. Like his just he keeps every like he reminds me a lot of our guild leader, like just keeps he always has a steady tone and doesn't get upset. Like I mean, he was awesome to watch. Like it was something to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ompi might actually go down in history as like one of the best raid leads Classic WoW has ever seen, strictly because of that Molten Core run. Like the
Yeah.
and if you watched even some of the trash farms, like when somebody died, we lost aid in a trash farm.
And he
It's
quieted everybody
he
immediately. It was
yeah,
beautiful.
he said everyone shut up and focus, and like yeah, he died. Who cares? And that was it. Like that was the whole thing. Like that's just what you have to do as a raid lead. Just stay calm and collected, and like you lead your team to success, and
Yeah.
that's what he did. And that he didn't do it all himself, of course, but he was a huge factor, and I think in the success of that raid.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting seeing because I know what's going to happen, right? We're going to go back into Molten Core. We're going to clear it again, and Ompi's going to get mad, and he's going to come back and want to main tank it.
Well, that
I
kinda
hope.
that
Yeah, I think
kinda moves us here into the next. I have been really good about not looking at guild chat because, like a lot of people talk about everything that's going on, and you guys also had a meeting right before this episode, so I am literally in the dark. Tell me about the future of Hardcore Elite on Obsidian
Yeah.
Edge Alliance.
Yeah. And you're gonna get this, I don't know, like I guess people in chat and maybe before or maybe after you post this or whatever. But so the conversation that we had today, it's going to get summed up in some posts that are going to go in the different discords and things. And the main thing, the main point that I'm going to try to get across, and this covers both the NA Road to Rag and the EU, which the EU does not get enough credit. They are 4 out of 10 in MC right now. They are planning on doing another 4 out of 10 run on Tuesday, and then they're planning on going for 10 out of 10 the week after that. So
And
they are still going.
you've been streaming that when they've been running it. You've
Yeah.
been streaming and commentating because something people might not know is even the EU streamers all came over to the NA side. So
Yeah.
there's not a
There's
whole
a,
lot
there's a
of
lack of
coverage.
coverage.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So the thing the big announcement, I guess, the big thing that I want to get out there is that there is going to be level 60 content going throughout the rest of Season of Mastery. If you are someone that wants to do level 60 hardcore dungeons or raids, or maybe you just want to get to level 60 and, farm consumables or work on professions, whatever it may be, it's going to be here for the rest of Season of Mastery. Hardcore Elite on Alliance, on Obsidian Edge, North America is going to be the place to be. If you have any interest whatsoever in doing level 60 hardcore content,
And
and you play on North America.
you're the new GM, right?
Yeah, I've taken over most of the, at least like the administrative responsibility. I've taken a lot of steps over this past week of putting people in leadership positions so that everything is more streamlined. So instead of it all falling on someone like it did on Ompi, we now have people that are going to, cover the different roles. So like a healing lead, a caster DPS lead, like a physical DPS lead, and then we've got people that are managing all of the bank characters and just keeping track of like what raw materials do we have, what consumables do we have, and then we've got someone that's managing the professions. So across all of these level 60 hardcore characters, who has what professions and what important recipes, so that if someone dies with one, we know, okay, we need either a new person to level that profession or someone who has it already to work on getting that recipe. So I'm trying to put all these pieces
You
in
need
place so that
you need to grab the add-on guild. What is it? Guild bank? Guild because it'll if everybody has it, it'll show all the professions in the guild.
Oh yeah.
You could just look at the guild tab and just see everybody's professions. I forget what it is. Kim Jong Un had a bunch of
Oh yeah.
us down. I'll
Guild book.
guild
Yeah.
book guild book.
Yeah. We
I
do
don't know if
have
they have it for classic, but like it might be a real good tool for you to have everybody get.
Yeah, I can talk to our so now we have a lead that like that's his one responsibility in the guild outside of just playing the game is helping track those things. And so like I started working on this stuff last Sunday, and as of today, these people are in place. People that are in hardcore elite that are still interested in raiding, which last I checked, it was like almost I think it was over 110 people that are still in hardcore elite said, yes, I want to continue raiding and pushing in-game content. We are in a position now where we have some structure and we have plans to raid as early as next Saturday and try to go back into Molten Core. We may not do a full run, but at least we're going to get back in, and it's going to give people a reason to log in to farm consumables. It's going to give any fresh 60 a reason to actually, farm prebis and get their profession set up and all these things, because they're going to see and they hopefully know that this was not a one and done thing, right? Yes, Road to Rag was an event, and it is now completed. But the future of what we're doing with Hardcore Elite and what the EU squad is doing with Eternal is it's ongoing, and it's going to go on for the rest of Season of Mastery. And so that might mean Onyxia here in the short term. If we can find a way to kill her reliably, that might mean BWL. So we might have a road to BWL announced if we can figure out how to kill Onyxia without people dying every week. We're probably going to try ZG. We're probably going to try AQ20, and who knows if we'll take a swing at AQ40. And then I always thought people ask like, what's the ideal situation, how this ends. Like if your main character that you started day one of Season Mastery is alive in November of 2022, and it's a couple weeks before the end of Season of Mastery, how would you want to die? And I'm like, let's go into Nax. Like, let's take a swing at some Nax bosses and let's die as a raid trying to progress in in-game content. So that's my
Maybe
goal.
you even get some of those burnt out dropouts that still have level
Yeah.
60 characters that are just chilling.
Yeah. So
Well, I
that's
think
my
that
goal.
Classic WoW is unique in that most of the gear for Molten Core is not actually your BIS for BWL.
No,
A
I
lot of
mean,
it's
as a warrior, I literally went to BWL with, I think, 1 or 2 items that I got from
Mhm.
MC. The rest of it was from something else.
I walked
Yeah,
into
Yeah.
I
BWL
mean,
with a Corehound Tooth and Deathbringer, and there was
yeah,
everything else was previs.
the majority of BWL items are like, a weapon here and there for Molten Core if you're a warrior, or toe wep, or,
Quick strike ring. Yeah.
yeah, the
It's like
what's the
random
necklace?
one-offs.
Quick strike ring.
What's the necklace? Is something of spell power or something like that? The
The
Yeah, the
choker
Fire
and
Lord
enlightenment,
one.
or
there's
choker the Fire Lord.
there's choker, and then there's like a healing ring or something. Like it's not that much. I think honestly, and this is just I haven't even told Duranasaur this yet, but I think the true road to BWL might benefit us to do that after ZG's out. Maybe we
Oh
maybe
yeah.
we maybe we gear up in ZG
Yeah.
and for a couple weeks, and then we go in and try and pump BWL with a little bit better gear than BWL gives.
I think that's, if anything, that would be the hardcore way of doing it, and that's probably a safer and smarter way.
And ZG is going to be no small feat in its own. There's a few
Yeah.
bosses that are really easy; they roll over, but there's going to be some very stressful
Yeah.
encounters in ZG.
It's easy to die in ZG.
It's easy
Yeah.
to
Especially
die
starting out.
because there's mechanics, and
Mhm.
that'll be a good test of the players that we have at that point to see like can you guys just perform these mechanics, and that'll be a good test, especially if we're trying to go into BWL at that point.
Yeah. I
Okay, so
also would like
imagine
to see Molten Core done with less consumables. I know that we're planning for success, and in order to plan for success, you have to literally no life consumables and like make sure you're 100% consumed up, like flashed up, ready to go. But I could foresee a future of us just not having enough consumes on hand, and still needing to get the raid done.
Yeah.
So who knows, right?
We are working on that. Yeah. So
Mhm.
that I'm some of those people that have been promoted into leadership roles, I have sort of started tasking them with thinking about like what could we cut? Like what's the bare minimum consumes for each boss
Mhm.
so that we could potentially farm, you know,
Yeah, as long as,
any
like, the
like a
tanks
certain
have
number of
titans,
bosses. Yeah.
I think as long as the tanks have titans, eventually we'll get to the point where we don't need 100% consumes on every character. We could just tanks have titan flasks, everyone all the DPS just have their elixirs, their food buff, whatever, and then just go in there and pump it out. It adds
Yeah.
maybe 30 seconds to each fight. It's not a huge deal, not a game breaker.
Yeah, and I think yes, I think that that is probably a good direction for us to move because yeah, when we killed Dragon, there was two deaths, and those two deaths you could argue were like not they weren't really preventable. Like the
I
amount of
think they were. I think
consumables,
both of them were pretty preventable, believe it or not.
well, preventable. Okay, so that's probably not the right word, but I would
Blender
say that
died in the
the
lava.
consumables difference, right? That's not
Mhm.
what made or
Oh,
broke
not at
those
all.
deaths.
Yeah, no.
So so then you can start talking about like, okay, how do we mitigate those types of deaths, but also drop consumables? Because I think we can do both things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
So here's
It's
the
a task.
question.
Yeah.
Nax is out. It's a week before the end of Season of Mastery.
Mhm.
You have a Swift Zillion Tiger, though. Do you
You go down
die?
in a blaze of
You
yep,
go
you go
down
down.
in a blaze of glory, or are you
Yep,
keeping that
you
I
ride
undead?
will
you ride that tiger into battle and die with it.
I I will always, and this isn't across the board, like Winky mentioned this earlier. If I die on one of those hardcore characters, I'm gonna delete it. It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um I can't speak for everybody on that, but yeah, I think that there's a lot of people that still have that mindset. Like Parla is a good example. Parla keeps saying like, "I'm here until we like push beyond what we are capable of doing, and until that moment, like I'm gonna keep wanting to raid and tank
Mhm.
and do stuff."
I think
And that's
Parla's an
yeah,
exceptional human being in that, uh, he's always down to better himself in a video game. Not a lot of
yeah,
people are. I think
yeah. For
Parla's a
him
very
to
interesting human.
for him to go from playing in apes and being a part of that like world record, like world first crew, and like was with them on private servers and like pushed the game to its boundaries to then say, hey, I'm like I've hit the point with this where I feel like I want to take a step back, and then to join the hardcore community and now be a part of what we're doing here. Like he might be one of the most like prolific classic WoW, vanilla WoW players like of all time, just because he's been a part of so many of these different things, and he enjoys it, and he's very humble, has a very dry sense of humor, which I love. Um, and he's around for it. It's great.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I could say the same with a lot of the I really enjoyed that Molten Core and the Road to Rag, it got to shine the light on a lot of players who necessarily weren't well-known content creators or YouTubers or people who parsed really incredibly well in Classic, and, like, they got to come out and show what they were made of and kinda get some of the glory that they truly deserved. Like, a couple that come to mind, like Yam.
Yeah,
Yam HC was a warrior, ex-professional Counter-Strike player, total Giga Chad warrior, like pumper energy, right? And, died at, like, 58, pushing, like,
on
world
a
first
paladin.
60
Yeah,
on a paladin, and then
he was.
immediately
Yeah,
rerolled and got to 60 on a warrior right after, like
he might have beaten me on a
yeah,
paladin.
he
Like
was pumping.
he was like the one of the main reasons I was leveling as fast as I was at launch of SOM was because I was like, there's this paladin who keeps catching up to me.
Yeah, and then there's the, like, other warlocks like Silly and
Silly.
Isuvi, like, I don't know
Yeah.
where these people came from, but they just heard like, "Oh, there's a classic WoW challenge, I am up for that," and they
Well,
just showed up.
a big problem with vanilla is that the people who stood out were in speedrunning guilds, and not everybody
True.
is interested in speedrunning. And then
Mhm,
2, some people are just really good players, and the content in Classic is easy. You don't necessarily need to play like, you can be a serious gamer. Like, there are people in our guild now, who if they joined an incredibly strong guild would maybe stand out more like as a
Hmm.
gamer in the world. But if you're not a content creator and you're just like a serious gamer, you might just be in an 80 parse guild and you'll never shine. But this sort of challenge involves a different level of play, involves different like gamer skills
Yeah. I
that
mean,
just like killing rag did not, a normal vanilla like killing rag did not require the same skills that these
to get
hardcore like insane players have.
to be an addition to that Molten Core roster, it was one of the most grueling processes I've ever seen in my life. Like, there was no, oh, your name is Stay Safe and you're a content creator, you're in automatically. There was none of that. It was you come to a trash farm and you prove your worth. And if you are slightly less optimal than the person ahead of you, you're not in on the raid.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things. It was incredible watching the whole sorting process go around. And I would love to see multiple raid groups. If we get enough 60s, I would love to see Duran leading a raid and someone else leading another raid. Right, just sign up and then we could
Yeah.
have then we can have inter guild competition to see who can perform the best every week and
My
things like
palms are
that.
Yeah.
sweating. My palms are sweating in B squad.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Like,
look
Oh
who
man.
well, it's interesting, the next exciting thing though that I think we're going to see in like the most in recent history is going to be the EU attempting their raids.
Yeah.
They're raiding every Monday, right, Duranasaur? For us NA boys, it's every Monday.
Tuesdays, I think.
Monday, it's one of the two, right?
Well, it's Monday or Tuesday. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and they usually Duranosaur is casting it, or Cat, Apricot Cat is casting it as well. And they're pushing to get 10 out of 10 soon, right? They just did 4 out of 10.
Yeah. They want to
Yep.
do 4 out of 10 next week and then 10 out of 10 the week after.
Yep. I'll put Duranosaurs and Apricot's Twitch in the show notes here in this time stamp so you can see it. So just to end it out, tell anybody who wants to be involved, like, are we still using the Road to Rag server? Are we using the Hardcore Discord server? Like, I
Yeah.
need these links for the notes so people can actually get in touch, because there's a lot of people that join and
Yeah.
don't know how to
Here,
actually get in.
Duran, you tell them, I'll get links.
Okay, thank you. So yes, I would say if you are interested, you definitely want to join the Classic Hardcore Discord, because after our meeting today, one of the things that we did talk about was moving a lot of the more like generic channels out of the Road to Rag Discord and into the Classic Hardcore Discord and housing as much as we can there. So Classic Hardcore Discord is definitely the best one to join. But if you can, I would say join both, because there's still a lot of things going on in the R2R Discord that's very specific to us playing on Obsidian Edge on NA and Kelsarar on EU.
Yeah.
But what, generally speaking, what people need to know if they want to do hardcore is just like look at the Classic HC website, look at the rules, and then go on to Curse Forge or use whatever add-on software you have and download the hardcore add-on. So you're just follow the rules, which are also in the add-on. If you open up the add-on, it lists all the rules, so you don't even necessarily need to go anywhere.
Here, let me get
Just
you my
run
link.
the add-on and follow the rules.
and
I'm
you
gonna get you
don't
a
need
new
to be
link.
verified at level 1. Right?
Yeah,
You don't
and
have to
if
do anything like that. The first time I did it, I was like, I made a character and I was like, verify? Like, what do I need to do? Like, I don't want to hit level 5 and realize I messed up. But yeah, you can just
Yeah.
get the add-on. And
let's
Do make
w-
sure to, like, one of the hardest things is you'll get mail during a character, like during a run, you need to delete your character. You have to turn off the hardcore app to get your mail so you can delete your character.
Yeah.
Make sure you turn it back on when you start your run again. There's been a lot of people that get to level 8 and they're like, "Oh shit. I didn't
yeah,
turn the
Yeah.
that'll happen.
hardcore app back on." Like, so
So
yeah.
we're currently working on a plethora of things. We had a meeting today about the future of hardcore and what the plan is moving forward, and I can tell you, it's a very exciting future. So if you're just hearing of hardcore now, or you saw the raid and maybe you saw a Reddit post where people were talking shit and you just figured it'd be fun to play that game mode or something, um, if even if you don't feel like you have the time to level to 60, right? I'd encourage you to join the discords, join the community. There's going to be a lot of low-level activities and community events coming up pretty soon. I'm running one. Cargos is running several of them. Jamin runs one every Friday already. And that's what you were talking about with the low-level
Yeah, the
rating.
10-man rating. Yeah.
Yeah, and these are all free. You can just log into the game, make a character, join any of the hardcore guilds, and start having fun.
Ooh,
And there will
okay.
always be a cool event around the corner, no matter what time of year it is. We're always running some kind of fun, cool event. Any level can join.
Why don't you explain the other the up to level 60 hardcore guilds? Because there's different ones. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't understand which one to join.
So
Any of them.
it's pretty straightforward. If you're on Obsidian Edge, which is the NA server, you can join any of the HC guilds through F, right? So there's HC Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, Echo, and Foxtrot.
And golf. Golf is a real one now too.
Golf is now a real one.
Yep.
All of these are just leveling guilds. There's no difference between them. There's no
There are
Foxtrot are
social
some
differences.
bad people, I will say that.
There are
No, I'm
social
kidding.
differences.
We just had a bad run of Foxtrot people taking tags from us and everything else, but it changed later. Like it saw beam.
The way the guilds work is that there's social differences between each leveling guild. So if you want to be a Giga Chad Pumper, you join Hardcore Charlie, which is also known as Chuck Gang, right? Gang. And then if you want to be a Beta, you join a Bravo because that's where the Beta Bravos are.
That's where the chill, relaxed people are. It's nice and chill.
Yeah.
There's no drama and guild chat.
Chill.
If you ever went on 4chan growing up, Charlie's where you should be.
Look, it's called low T, okay, for Bravo. It's just low testosterone guild.
Yeah, it's a low T
It's
guild.
fine.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There are supplements you can take.
Basically, all you need to know is that if you log in and you have the add-on running, look up just like /who HC and look at the different guilds, and you should be able to join any of them outside of HC Elite. HC Elite is the level 60 guild. All the other guilds are leveling guilds. They're open to anybody at any time. On EU, it's a little bit different, but I can actually tell you, I think right now, on EU, they also have multiple leveling guilds, but they do it differently. So they have a guild for level 1 to 17, which is called Hold My Beverage. And then, they also have Hold My Ale, which is 1 to 17. But then they have a guild called Mortal for 18 to 29. And then a guild called Still Alive for 30 to 59. So they break it up a little bit based on what level you are. And if you achieve a certain level, you can move on to the next guild. But NA is very much just join any of the leveling guilds. And all of these are listed in both of the Discords.
That was the next question I was going to ask. All right, well,
and
perfect.
The website classichc.net.
Go
there if you want to go.
Post that link in the chat, would you, for me, so I remember when I'm doing the notes.
Yeah, classichc.net is a huge resource. There's a lot of cool things there, and it also, if you're interested in creating content or you're a streamer, both of the Discords and the website have free art assets to get you kickstarted in streaming. I know a lot of people use them. We have like full-time artists that work with the community and like constantly just kick out cool new art assets and new things that you're interested in.
Do you have good, okay, so see how bad the boxes are for my stream here?
Yeah, we've got way better boxes.
Yeah, you can just go steal some of those boxes.
God, thank you.
Just go steal some of them.
Yeah, go get them. Go to the Classic Hardcore Discord. There's a Stream Elements tab that you can go to and like pick up whatever you want.
Yeah, Stream Elements and art assets.
Upgrade.
I think. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and some of the new events are going to be like leveling cups. So like fastest level at the end of a 6-hour time period wins cash prizes, things like that. So like anybody can truly get involved in any of these events at any time. Just join the community hangout, and then you can always stop by Blazin' Bob's stream and subscribe if you want to as well. Twitch Prime.
All right.
Yeah.
Man, all right. Well, guys, so I have an add-on of the week, but I'm not going to do it. And I've had a
Why
lot of
not?
people. Well, just because we don't have time. We have a half an hour
Okay.
until we have to get to our trash farm,
Oh, geez.
and on top of it, we also have Yip's lore
You
segment
got a lore
for
section that got cut
yeah,
last week for
cut
nonsense.
again, and then last week I asked you if you'd do it, and you were like, no.
Dude, we were 4 hours into a stream that started late. That was your fault, not mine. We're doing it now. I'm doing my lore now.
Well,
Oh,
what's the
okay.
lore?
All right, dude.
What do you mean?
Awesome,
What do you
awesome.
mean? We're
Hold
doing.
on, hold
You
on.
tried to cut it again. You
We're
saw it
going.
live. I wrote it in the patch in the notes.
Oh,
It's
where?
sitting right there in the notes.
Oh, okay. You wrote lore at the
Oh,
end
I
of
wrote
segment
lore
4.
really big and bold in the patch in the notes.
All right,
Winky, is this what
guys.
it's like when you and I are doing
Yes, it
things?
is. Yeah.
all
Just
right. Well,
remember next
this
week when he
is
tries to pretend he didn't try to cut it.
this. I mean, honestly, I thought you would want to get to raid, but this is exciting for me. And let's move into lore time.
So 2 weeks ago, we talked about Archimonde. Now we're talking about Illidan, the other major player of the new content. So let's start back at the beginning. Some of this might be overlap, but we'll go through quick. Illidan's pretty smart, or pretty simple. I don't know why I said smart. He's very simple. As a kid, Illidan is Malfurion Stormrage's brother. He's like the leader of the Night Elves. You're a dude who falls asleep for like all of this entire time. I think he's asleep in vanilla. Malfurion Stormrage is in the Emerald Dream hanging out. But as kids, Malfurion and Illidan both had a crush on the High Priestess Tyrande, whatever her face is. Not really that important, but you gotta have that little like, ooh, there's a girl involved. It's not just magic and Azeroth. There's gotta be some other brotherly hate here going on. So a little bit of backstory there. But as they grow up, the most important thing that happens is the War of the Ancients. So 10,000 years ago, we talked about the Well of Eternity being basically this magic font on Azeroth, and Azshara messing with it is what causes the Burning Legion to set their eyes on Azeroth to begin with. So Illidan is sort of interested in in magic and helping out with this. So unfortunately, he is considered the betrayer because instead of destroying the Well of Eternity, he sided with Kil'jaeden and he sided with Azshara, and that was not very good. So that's why he was imprisoned for 10,000 years. So at the beginning of the cinematic, you hear him say, imprisoned for 10,000 years. The reason that happened is because he joined the Burning Legion for just a moment during the War of the Ancients so that he could gain more power. And that's sort of Illidan's kind of thread. It wasn't because he likes the Burning Legion, it's because he wants more magic and more power. He realized that when the Well of Eternity was destroyed, which is what we were trying to do, or what the Night Elves were trying to do, that he was going to lose all his insano powers he was gaining. So he briefly joined, uh, and unfortunately, was labeled as the betrayer, and that's why Illidan is the betrayer. But he did one maybe good thing, maybe not good thing. He stole a vial from the Well of Eternity to create a second Well of Eternity, and that's what Nordrassil is, and that brings us into the whole Archimonde story. So basically, what happens is he is imprisoned for 10,000 years, like in total darkness and silence. But before that happens, he pours a vial of the Well of Eternity. He
Uh,
creates a new one,
I have a question
and
real quick.
yep.
Sorry, I didn't. Isn't he already in darkness because aren't his eyes covered by like blindfolds?
Do you think he was born that way,
Okay,
Bob?
but is that what
He's not
is
covered in
that
blindfolds.
the
No,
is
not
that the reason he has the blindfold?
No, it's not the reason he has the blindfolds,
Educate
Bob.
me.
He's in prison with no lights on, Bob. He doesn't have any blindfolds yet. We haven't gotten there.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
He's literally in a box that is dark. That is why he's in eternal darkness for 10,000 years. Archimonde comes though to attack this new Well of Eternity. Because I don't even know why we made one. He decided to make one second Well of Eternity. Burning Legion's like, well, hey, we hate the Well of Eternity. So Kil'jaeden has made the Lich King at this point. Arthas is killing his dad over at Lordaeron, and Archimonde's climbing his way up the mountain so that he can take the Well of Eternity and kill Nordrassil. But Tyrande lets Illidan out of his prison so that he can help in this third war. He's given a chance at redemption. And how does he use that chance? And it's Illidan's a little confusing because a lot of his story gets retconned, where he's sort of like the anti-hero. I don't think he's right now in TBC, he is not an anti-hero yet. He's not like everything I do is actually because I'm a good guy. He's kind of just like a power hungry freak. So what he does is he goes and fights Tychondrius, who is a Dreadlord, also a very large server. And this is when he takes the Skull of Gul'dan. And you casters should know all about the Skull of Gul'dan. It's
Okay.
literally the skull of Gul'dan. The dude who opened the dark portal. He's just got a lot of fel energy in him. He's drank a lot of demon blood. So this is when Illidan takes the skull, he absorbs all of the fel energy, he grows out horns. This is probably when he puts his blindfold on.
Oh wait, so
He
he
can
didn't
actually.
have horns before?
He's a night elf, Bob.
Dude, remember, I have no idea. Like this
Me and
is
Bob are on the same page here.
yeah,
and I
this
love
is
it.
lore for
Okay.
like I'm actually excited
Malfurion
about this. I don't
Stormrage,
know.
the leader of the Night Elves, his brother is also a Night Elf, Bob. All of these
No
people
way.
are Night Elves
I
I
thought he
right
had
was
no
like a
now.
clue.
demon. I thought he was like a demon thing.
I
So
did
he
too.
absorbs the fel energies from the Skull of Gul'dan, and that is when he becomes a demon. So he's a Night Elf
Oh.
up until this point.
How did he
Night
get the
Elves,
Skull of Gul'dan again?
Tychondrius has it.
And
So he
Tychondrius
fights.
is also a night elf.
Tychondrius is a Dreadlord. He's working
Oh,
with.
okay.
So
Dude, this is
in the
awesome
third
because
war,
like I
I'm
had
so
no
lost,
idea
dude.
any of this shit, dude.
in the third war, so in the in the third war, when Archimonde comes, where we go back to Mount Hyjal, Illidan, a Night Elf, who is Malfurion Stormrage's brother, one of the leaders of the Night Elves, is imprisoned. He got imprisoned in the War of the Ancients. All this happens so long ago, but Night Elves are immortal, so he just sits in darkness for 10,000 years. Archimonde comes to attack Mount Hyjal. They release him, the Night Elf Illidan Stormrage. He goes to help, and he fights Tychondrius, stealing the Skull of Gul'dan, absorbing the powers, and becoming a demon. And this is when he loses his eyesight, but he actually has eyesight. That's why his eyes like glow through it. He can just like only see like demons or something. I don't know. He's got some kind of weird demon sight. So it's like a little bit different than just being blind. But that is when, and this is actually what gets him banished. So it's not him. The reason he goes to Outland is because Malfurion is like, dude, you can't just become a demon. Like, that's not cool. So he gets banished from Azeroth, basically. He gets banished from Kalimdor. And then he ends up going to Outland after that. So that's why he's like a demon in Outland. He's actually just a night elf who becomes a demon by infusing himself with fel energy from the Skull of Gul'dan. And that's why when you kill Illidan, he drops the Skull of Gul'dan. And you use it.
How come your character doesn't become a
Wow.
demon then?
He already absorbed all the fel,
Oh,
the
okay,
nascent
yeah,
fel
that makes
energies.
sense.
He just holds it
So
for
it's
fun,
like
like
a
a trophy.
leftover Skull of Gul'dan.
Is that
like...
why the art from TBC back in the day was like
He's
Illidan,
holding
like,
it.
kneeling and like holding
Yeah,
the
he
skull?
holds the Skull of Gul'dan because
Oh,
that's
that's
where his like
cool. I didn't
powers
know
are
that.
coming from.
Nice.
Yeah.
That gives some flavor to the art.
Dude, I like I feel like we're missing like every time Yip does the lore thing, I feel like I've just missed out on a really great story
Yeah.
by
My favorite
instant
part of
quest
WoW is
decks.
the lore.
Bob,
I always love the lore of
I
this.
actually have a theory about it because we were talking about this in the threesome the other day, like lore. I have never been into WoW lore, right? And I feel like if you actually know all of the world, like the Warcraft lore, you actually have it's like a buff, like it's like a consumable, right? Like you drink it and it actually protects you from burning out on Warcraft.
Yeah,
I feel
I
like
think that's
people that know lore don't burn out of playing WoW. Whereas
yeah.
people that
Well,
just play to like raid and kill bosses and do good on Excel sheets, they burn out 10 times faster.
so last
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, we talked about Archimonde. I'm sure no one remembers. I say no one, like you two were there, but but Bob, when we killed Archimonde, you know how we didn't get him to 0%? how you actually get them to like 10% and then wisps fly out and
Yeah,
attack
yeah, it
them.
came out.
Well,
I was literally on stream going, "Well, Yip just said we completed it. Are the wisps gonna kill it?" Like I
well,
was just so like, "Oh,
that's what happens. The wisps fly out. They they use the power of Nordrassil, which is like Teldrassil. It's a world tree that's on Mount Hyjal. They use that energy, killing Nordrassil and removing. The Night Elves lose their immortality at the cost, so in order to defeat Archimonde. So
Like
that's
all
what
night
happens.
elves, like
All
all night
Night
elves
Elves
ever.
lose their immortality. That's why
So
when you start, if
even in
you
like
read
Legion
quest
and
text.
stuff, like they're still non-immortal.
Yeah, I don't think they gain back their immortality ever, and in fact,
Wow.
Teldra's still burned in retail, so they must, like,
Oh,
have
true.
they probably have, like, a normal lifespan too at this point, but if you read a lot of the vanilla WoW quest tests in Teldrassil, they're all like, "Remember when we were immortal? Oh, man, life sucks now."
dude,
Like, they're all talking about it all the time.
even the okay, so I've been playing the druid in hardcore, and I've been doing slash silly because I love that emote because it tells jokes. There's like 4 or 5 different jokes for each race, and they literally make fun of it. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I can't remember the exact, but remember when we were immortal? I mean, it's no big deal," or something like that. Like
I love it.
Yeah.
I love the contrast between you and Yip right now. Yip's like deep into this lore and knowledgeable, and then Bob's like, yeah, that's funny. I liked when I type slash silly.
yeah, dude, it's
Hey,
like
those are the
the lore is nuts, like, and it kind of like opens my eyes because I've literally never paid attention to it because
well,
reading, and
it's
I'm
I want to
smooth
interesting.
brained.
do I want to do a whole hardcore Warcraft playthrough where I read every quest. Like I read the text out
I
loud.
mean,
Like
that's
If you're
the
what
doing the
full
SFan
roleplay one, then
does.
you have to.
Like,
yeah, we'd have
Well,
to if we're gonna roleplay it.
I'm gonna blow your mind now, and I'm only about 95% what I'm about to say is correct.
Okay.
So, have you noticed that there's Naga in Outland, and that actually doesn't make any sense? Because Naga are actually transformed night elves. They
No,
were
they're
the
like
night
water
elves.
creatures. They're like water serpents.
Yeah, but they were night
Yeah.
elves who got turned into that in the War of the Ancients. So Ashara's night elves basically
Hmm.
turned into Naga. And Lady Vash is actually Illidan's lieutenant, and they go to Outland together with an army of Naga. That's why they're all there. So they weren't actually out
Oh,
in Draenor. They were brought there from Azeroth with Illidan. Lady Vash is his lieutenant. So Illidan turns into a demon during this war. He later comes back and fights the Lich King. It's really not that important. He loses to the Lich King. But he
cool.
goes out to Outland. He sees Kael'thas there. They become homies, and Kael'thas is Illidan's lieutenant. And uh, Illidan goes to the Black Temple, which Magtheridon is the ruler of,
But we
and is
killed
like,
Magtheridon.
well, he beats Magtheridon and enslaves him under Hellfire Citadel, and that's why Magtheridon's there, like being like magically held there by orcs. Is because Illidan comes to Outland and just takes it over, and he's like, "Yep, I'm the
Hmm.
ruler of Outland now," and then just hangs out in the Black Temple.
And
And
wasn't
that's
Outland
see,
like the
if Yip
initial
was
like home of like the orcs or some shit?
yeah, so it's the original home of the orcs.
Hmm.
But what ends up happening is Kil'jaeden and Archimonde, who are the leaders of Argus, which is where the Draenei are originally from. Those two and Prophet Valen, the leader of the Draenei, they escape. Well, Prophet Valen and the Draenei escape Kil'jaeden and Archimonde because Kil'jaeden and Archimonde decide to work with Sargeras. They take on
Hmm.
demonic energies. They become like demonic Eridar, which is why they're like big and red and scary.
Yeah, and that
Everyone,
isn't that like the part of the Warcraft movie?
yeah,
The
yeah. So
Gul'dan comes out and like they like
so
submit
that's
to
this
Gul'dan or
that's
some shit.
that's part 2. Part
Okay.
1 is Argus.
This is
Part
so
1 is
cool.
Argus, where the Draenei leave. So we're actually the second landing of the Draenei. The Draenei first go to Draenor, right? That's why they're called Draenei. It's because they're actually Eridar. The race is Eridar. They go to Draenor,
Mhm.
and the orcs are there. Kil'jaeden appears to the orcs, pretending to be like the elements, like, "Hey, shaman, I'm the elements. Drink demon blood. You should drink demon blood." And they're all like, "Really?" And
I'm down. All right. Yeah. Wait,
Ner'zhul is the leader of the orcs. He's like the
does
big shaman.
Duranasaur know all this? Because he's just like soaking it in.
Dude,
He's accepting
I
Duranasaur and
know
me's
a lot of
face
it.
are like
Yip,
this
you know what you
whole
need to
time.
do?
No,
I've heard a
what
lot of it.
Yip? What?
Yeah.
Yip,
Like
I have a
Yip?
$1 million idea for Yip.
Hold on. Before though,
Okay.
if the WoW lore was like the way Yip talks it,
Mm-hmm.
I actually would pay attention. I love
Yes,
how he's like,
that's the
and
$1
they
million
became
idea.
homies, and then like, I
Yeah.
mean, like it's
The
awesome.
You know how there's like drunk history on YouTube? You need to do like drunk Warcraft lore, Yip, where you sit there, get a few, brewskis down,
That's true.
and then
Drunk.
just explain lore. Like,
You nailed it with the drunk. That's the best way to explain it, because there are people who do really good lore videos, which is not the
no,
kind
you
of
gotta
lore
do.
I
Yeah,
know. I know the baseline. Someone actually
Yeah.
mentioned Kil'jaeden appeared as Ner'zhul's dead wife. That's actually
So Mancrick's
an
wife.
important.
Kil'jaeden was
Basically.
Mancrick's wife.
But Ner'zhul ends up
Is
betraying
Mancrick's wife.
Kil'jaeden.
Oh,
Well, no,
shit.
this is interesting. This is a little bit interesting. Ner'zhul is the one on Draenor who first talks to Kil'jaeden and leads like he decides not to help Kil'jaeden and drink the demon's blood, and as a punishment, Kil'jaeden makes Ner'zhul the Lich King. That's where the Lich King comes from. Is Ner'zhul's the first shaman who was like, we are not gonna be doing this. Then Gul'dan was like, we're doing it. And then that's when all the bad stuff happens on Draenor. The opening of the Dark Portal is the reason why Outland gets destroyed. It used to just be a normal planet. But the openings of the Dark Portal destroy Outland and make it like horrible. And then the Draenei leave that on their spaceship. And imagine crash landing on the planet that the portals get open to. Like, what a roundabout way to end up on Azeroth is
Yeah,
taking
that
a
would suck.
spaceship here as opposed to just taking a portal here.
Mhm.
But that's the gist. Illidan is now the ruler of Outland, basically. And that's why he's kind of like, it's kind of weird if all this stuff came out like really early. It's like you're kind of getting the end boss of Outland really soon. Because even Kil'jaeden, you don't fight him on
Mhm.
Outland, you fight him on Azeroth. So it is a little bit like Illidan is the end of Outland.
Huh. Yeah, I think you should do drunk Lorecraft.
I think I'll do drunk Lorecraft.
Yeah, maybe if you want, I'll just join in so that you can be
Yeah.
talking to somebody
Yeah, I
that knows
need
nothing. I know
We'll just
nothing about the lore.
ask questions, right?
Yeah.
It is important because I'll be honest, I had not considered that people didn't know that Illidan was a night elf.
Dude,
I had
don't know
not
shit.
I had not even
I saw
considered
hordes.
that
like,
was an option. His
Yeah.
name's
Me and
Illidan
Bob-
Stormrage. Like, if his name was like
Stormrage.
Illidan Rin, you wouldn't be
Uh-huh.
like, isn't that the name of the leader of Stormlight? Like, isn't the
No,
leader of the
I would
Alliance?
just kill him and try and get my 1%
That's so
drop.
crazy.
Yeah, I just want
Yeah,
my
I
Warglaives, man.
need someone there to focus my
Yeah,
like.
maybe me and Bob should join, and
Dude,
we'll just
I'm
get, like,
down. Like,
yeah,
we'll
we'll
put
just
it
pour,
on
like,
your
whiskey drinks.
YouTube. It'll be a
Yeah.
completely different thing. I'd love that. Like,
Yeah,
this
and
has
then
been fun.
it'll just be Yip explaining lore to both of us for hours.
Yeah.
Lore for
Hours.
dummies.
Yeah,
could
and we
I
can
love
start at the
it.
beginning. We could start at the very Warcraft.
Hell
1. We can start
yes.
right
Yeah.
at the beginning.
The only problem is retconning. That's the biggest issue. Is they
Yeah, just
put
start in
out.
Classic though.
Yeah,
got
we
like
just
10
go through
episodes.
Yeah, go
Wrath.
by.
Or-
You have to go through expansion
Yeah,
because
yeah.
the books that come out later, I think, are really good and awesome, and I have read like the Chronicle series especially is good because that's when they redefined like, hey,
Yeah, me
it's
and Bob
literally like
can't
the
read.
Bible. They have a Genesis. They're like, there was nothing, and then there was the light. And whenever there's light, there must be the void. And it's like, okay,
Oh,
this is like the
Lord.
Bible of. So that retconned like everything, and in my head, I'm like,
Dude,
what?
I think it could be really funny because
Yeah.
literally, if it's lore for dummies, like, there would be so many times where we'd be like, Bob, Illidan's a night elf. You freaking idiot. Like, like, it'd be great. Like, it'd be great content.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
you
it
start at
doesn't-
the beginning, and then we got at least 10 or 20 episodes before the first retcon.
Yeah, that's very true. There's
Yeah.
at least that many. I
And
mean,
then
every raid.
then you could even explain the retconning, because then me and Bob would be like, "But didn't this happen?" And you'd be like, "No, Blizzard said it didn't
Actually.
happen." Like,
And he even did the glasses push up when he
Yeah.
did.
You have to.
well, you see, Activision got involved. Like,
Oh,
That's
man.
true. Someone mentioned that Malfurion does have bird arms, which is true. But that's just like druid nonsense.
fucking
They don't look
druids.
like it.
They're all
But
furries.
that's everything. We're cutting. We're running out of time. That is Illidan and some other knowledge as well too. Um, cool. Go kill him. He's a bad boy. And
All right.
actually, one of the retcons is you don't kill him. Actually, he's
Because he
frozen in
comes.
time, and you unlock him or something later.
Dude, I was talking to Mel's
is
brother
that when the
today.
time dwarf comes in?
It's-
You know the time dwarf. What's his name? He's like, champion, please
Yeah.
come over here.
Magni Bronzebeard or whatever.
Yes.
He's literally a diamond man made out of diamond. Azeroth wants your help, and it's like,
Yes.
okay,
Go absorb some diamonds for me, champion.
I was
Very
talking
good.
to Mel's brother, who's like a Mythic Raider in retail, and I was talking about us like doing this phase, and he's like, I've just killed all these bosses so many times when they're brought back to life or yada yada yada. I just can't keep them all straight.
That's why Shadowlands was cool, because they were like, we didn't bring them back to life.
They're
You're killing
dead.
them in the underworld.
Oh man. All right, well, this has been a banger of an episode, guys, but we're gonna have
Oh,
to get
yeah.
out of here. So don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us an email, something long form, do so by sending it to WCRpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join the Mash Those Buttons Discord, it's mash.gg/Discord. Ratings and reviews. You guys have killed it, but unfortunately, our backlog is done now. We have no new reviews for next week, so if somebody could jump on there, iTunes, Spotify, you can give stars, but we can't really read your actual review. But you can also go to warcraftradio.com/directory and review us there. And you can tell your guild about our podcast, and you can laugh at our trials and tribulations every week. Just tell people about the pod, and that's the best way to help us. All right. Yep. Where can we find you?
Hi, you can find me on everything at the Yip Show, and find our new show, Drunk Lorecraft.
Dude, I love it. Let's serious.
it.
Like, dude, I will
Yeah,
give
I am.
you my time weekly.
All right, we'll put it together.
All right, sweet.
Put on pilot.
Nice.
And Duranasaur, where can we find you?
You can find me on twitch.tv/Duranasaur, DURANASAUR. And then on Twitter at Duranasaur24.
Awesome. And Winky, you're streaming once again, right? You're streaming
Mhm.
like
Indeed.
regularly again. So where can we find
Yeah.
your stream?
Twitch.tv/Winky, or you can find my consensual threesome at twitch.tv/Duranasaur.
Fair.
Because
And-
sometimes he'll stream it, but I won't.
Gotcha. All right, well, you can find me on Twitter at Blazin_Bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can also find me on Twitch streaming. I just hit 1,000 hours, guys, streaming.
Wow.
Yo, congrats.
Yeah, and
Wow.
like I don't think I streamed much before. Like I got a affiliate years ago doing Overwatch streaming. Like it's been weird, but you know, I'm streaming at twitch.tv/BlazeBob, so come by and say hi. Whew, let's get out of here, dudes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for having us.
Yeah, of
Definitely.
course. Thank you
This
once
is,
again.
I think, the longest episode we've ever done.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna stop recording now.
Yep, yeah.
Yes.
We are still live on the stream, but stop recording.
We're live.
I put the link in our chat to send it to. Ooh,
What episode was this?
this was episode
81?
81.
Jeez,
And-
that's a lot of episodes.
Duranasaur, we had you on one of our
Mhm.
first, like, I mean, I think it was in the teens, right? The first
Ooh,
time
maybe.
we ever had you
That
on.
long?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It has been a while.
It's
Been
been
a
a wild
while.
ride.
You know that song? Have you ever heard that song before? It's been a while.
It's been a
Oh,
while.
It's
wow.
been a while since I heard.
Oh,
Okay.
God. We're actually gonna have enough for a trash farm too. That's gonna be sick.
Ooh,
Dude,
that sounds fun.
guys, okay, so chat doesn't know, but Yip, thank you so much for and Yip, all of you guys, thank you so much
Yeah.
for picking up the Slack. I had to go AFK because Mel
Oh, you were
got
AFK for like 5 minutes. I didn't
Oh
know.
yeah, it was fine.
yeah,
I got
Mel
timed
got
out.
pulled over, and I guess I let my tags expire, and she didn't have the proof of insurance, so I had to send that to her. It was a whole little hoopla or
Jeez.
whatever.
Well, I was laughing because like
Jeez.
you were like, hold down the fort, and I was like, oh man, I better think of something. I don't think I had to say anything until you came back. I was like, all right, that was easy.
Well, yeah, I
Fort
mean,
held down.
Winky jokes about this a lot. Like,
What did I do?
whenever we're on like shows and stuff, or whenever he hosts shows, he has on people that like routinely are like streaming and entertaining for hours at a time. So it would have
Yeah.
been really embarrassing if we hadn't been able to like just keep
Yeah,
talking
right.
for a few
Like
minutes.
I need you guys to talk for
Yeah,
5 minutes about the thing you do all the
I
time.
actually
Yeah.
intentionally go AFK
I
during actual
know, I
shows
was just
all
about
the
to
time.
say, what'd you do?
I did it to you guys. I did it to you and Mel and Yip
Yep.
when you were on the show.
Well,
It's
I
funny,
am,
right? You
I
just
yeah,
leave and
I
you're like,
am
"Haha,
just
deal with it,
lucky
people."
to have like such good, host guests that they can keep that going because that was I was, I just didn't know how long I would be gone because I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
no worries. Yeah,
But
dude.
Wait, why can't I upload my file? Why is this always an issue? Oh, wait, never mind. It's uploading.
all right,
Haha.
well, I'm not gonna edit till till Sunday, but we do have a trash farm to get to. So anybody in stream, I am gonna put it to a starting soon thing, and then I'm gonna do the trash farm. So I don't know how long it'll be before I come back, but if you want to stick around, we're gonna go into Black Temple, and you can hear Yip boss me around. So if you're interested in that, hang out. But guys, thank you so much. Oh shit, real quick. X Cameo, thank you so much for the 3 gifted subs. Romanda. Okay, I can't like there was so many
Romanda the
follows
Blur.
there were so many follows
Yeah,
this
Amanda.
episode. I'm gonna have to thank you guys later. I'm sorry. So goodbye. Good night.
Goodbye. Good night.